everybody. I know a week ago I said that I was not going to be able to stream. I wasn't going to be able to stream the full time. And I said I was going to try and stream around 6. And the reason I didn't stream at 6 is because the event that I was going to be going to was rescheduled. So this is the Dirty Rectangles local game dev meetup, which in the real world started at 6 o'clock, or sorry, not 6 o'clock. It started at on the third Wednesday of every month. And online, it has traditionally been the second Wednesday of every month, but it seems to be today, the day of. They rescheduled it for one reason or another, and that leaves me available for some Industries of Titan with you. But what it does mean is that I may have to cut the Phantom Brigade stream short next week, which is a bit of a shame, right? Because that's going to be after Phantom Brigade gets its gets its new update. But we'll find a way of making it all work. So let me just take a second here to load up Industries of Titan, and we will be ready to get going in just a moment. It's always a happy logo for me to see.
Titan. Everyone comes to Titan with a dream. Our moon is one of limitless wealth. There are ancient riches here for those with the strength to claim them. But some dreams start smaller. A better life, more dignity, more comfort. Today, Titan is a place where you can buy those dreams.
Olaf, thank you for the host.
Anyone can profit. But it isn't easy. You have to prove yourself here. Those who settle here take that risk. And without their diligent labor, our power grid would fail. Pollution would overwhelm us. And our trade would collapse. It's hard work, but on Titan, hard work isn't enough. The bold, the strong, those are the people Titan rewards. Those are the ones who see their dreams through. Exceptional people. Friends to the Council. That is why we're giving you this opportunity, Founder. We expect great things from you. Make sure you live up to our expectations.
I'm sure one day I will skip over that opening cinematic, but I still really like it. And if I like it, you all have to watch it. All right, so we are still in. I mean, it's still relatively early days in the new patch. So this is the one where we've gotten a new science advisor. So we are playing with tutorials on our current save, and then there were a bunch of environmental effects such as sandstorms added to the game, and a few other little changes. It's not as huge as sort of the addition of the full tech. Formerly tree, now web. But I mean, that doesn't, the thing is that not every update has to be like something that just swings for the fences and like adds tons of new stuff. In fact, I think there was a feeling at a certain point where there had been a lot of big changes made, and then of course it meant that there's a lot of bugs to fix, and so people were getting a little cranky about the change. So there's a nice balance. I still continue to be really impressed by the amount of stuff that gets added over the course of a month, because a month isn't really that long. It's also worth remembering that Brace Yourself, I believe, has like a free Friday. So basically, you can kind of do a self-directed project on Fridays. If you check out their blog, you'll see the details. So, in addition to the fact that they are really, in my view, sort of outperforming relative to, I mean, I can't really say they're peers, because who is the peer of Brace Yourself Game? They're definitely a very unique and interesting developer. But they're definitely outperforming in terms of just the consistency and the pace of the updates. But it's also worth remembering that this is a group that's really being able to deliver a lot of this stuff with a schedule that's maybe not necessarily as aggressive as what other developers might be doing. So with that in mind, I am singing the praises of Brace Yourself Games. They did very kindly send me a key for Industries of Titan and Phantom Brigade. So it's always good to disclose that I am broadcasting this game sort of for promotional purposes. I have also been doing it for over a year now, and I am still having the time of my life. So in addition to the fact that I think Brace Yourself are a bunch of really cool people, they also happen to have made some really cool games that I enjoy playing. But I also know, at least in some parts of my life, my enthusiasm is quite infectious, and the one thing I never want to do is somebody to wind up buying something that they don't like because of me. So I do hope you wind up buying Industries of Titan. I hope you support the developers, and I hope you love the game as much as I do. But clearly it's good to disclose this sort of stuff. And I'm sorry I didn't give you a warmer welcome, Olaf. I'm always very happy to see your. Usually the host is the herald of your arrival, and I obviously appreciate seeing your name in chat. Okay, so let's hit continue. Titan's surface is lined with massive artificial rifts. Modern scientists have many theories about how these crevices were built, but with the creators long dead, the Titan citizens may never really know.
Your turret will suffice, but if we really want to hit the rebels where it hurts, we'll need a shipyard. In the shipyard, we can manufacture military-grade combat-ready vessels. But each shipyard can only support a limited number of ships. If we want more birds, we'll need more shipyards. Simple as that. Try building a shipyard now, and we'll have birds in the sky in no time.
So that is going to be one of my goals. We currently don't. We have some isotopes, but it's a little more limited. Let's just take a quick look. Actually, we should be able to afford. Oh, right. Well, we can afford it minerals wise, but we can't afford it finance wise. So I'm going to give that some time. Is there a way that I can boost my income? Well, I mean, we'll make 1,000 a day, so it can't be that difficult. Sorry, just taking a minute to refamiliarize myself with the state of play. Yeah, I think honestly, let's just wait. We'll hook up the shipyard into this little area here. I think I did say I was going to start putting some residential areas in this area. It obviously, things are a little more complicated now that we've got an isotope node up here. So I suppose there's the question. Oh, actually, these ruins are perfect for. Well, sorry, it says it absorbs pollution. That doesn't mean that. Oh yeah, no, this is the smokestack. I definitely don't want to put people here. Today could have been better, Olaf. But rather than mope around about it, it's better to just play a game that I really enjoy and let the experience of Titan, take me off into my happy place. But thank you for asking, nonetheless. I hope you're doing well. I think I'm ready to unpause. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're really just waiting. To get that that shipyard up and running. So I guess I would like to have some more workers at some point. What's the distribution of workers right now? So 15 free employees. Well, we should be doing all right, I suppose. Maybe we can afford another. Oh wait, no. I was thinking that would. Oh yeah, maybe we. Okay, I may regret this. Let's get our second line running. It's mostly just because we do actually have a fairly large number of workers, so we should be able to support. We should be able to support some additional. Additional infrastructure. So we're more or less making sort of a mirror of this object. We're probably not going to put anyone in it because we don't really have anybody to work those resources. But we'll worry about that later. Okay, we do need to hook it up to some power, so I suppose it doesn't really matter which side I put it on. We are, however, able to build a waste receptacle here. And again, we'll just set ourselves up. This is my rather well-known... oh, that's the input, that's not output. Hey, it's Huge, how you doing? So you're doing okay, had more surgery the other day, so you're just recovering, but you can't, but you can't talk again. You know, one thing I will say for you, Olaf, is that I'm sure you've noticed that it's really easy for me to complain about a lot of really minor stuff that happens to me. You have a really amazing attitude for someone who's clearly going through some pretty tough stuff. So the fact, like, not to make this about me, the fact that you stop by the channel as regularly as you do, and that I'm able to just sort of feel that little bit of support in the background, means a lot. And it's actually very specifically because of sort of you and who you are, sort of this context. I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I'll be back in just a second. My cell phone company trying to sell me things. Nonsense. 100 on your international econ midterm. Fantastic news. It's huge. And yeah, I'm really sorry I had to leave on that. But that doesn't mean that I'm unhappy to see other people inside of the channel. I never want to take Olaf for granted. That's number one. But like I said, number two, kind of you being you. That's such a furry way of putting it, but I'm really I'm really happy to see you, and I know going through what you're going through, the fact that you're the one making me feel better, almost makes me feel a bit bad. It's really impressive. I'm really impressed at kind of how you've gone. You know, I mean, the fact that you can go through surgery and show up here and make me feel great is really, I don't want that to go by without comment. So I also don't want to like make. I'm sure sometimes you come to a stream just to not focus on that stuff. So you know, I don't want to make too big of a deal about it, but we do also have some. It sounds like some other celebrations. So congratulations, it's huge on your midterm. I don't think I got 100 on my international econ, so you're certainly doing better than I did. I'm actually. It's been fun to have you come in and ask some of the questions. I guess we'll let this one run. Just because it sort of makes me feel like I need to keep on top of my keep on my toes and sort of relearn or at least recall some of the stuff that I learned. But I remember, especially for midterms that were kind of close to Christmas, I always found that was a little bit of a drag. Sorry, I do need to keep at least one worker on this. Just because, you know, it's if I'm feeling nervous about it, if I'm feeling like, you know, maybe it didn't go very well, that's just going to be looming over me over the time of the holidays. My profs were pretty good at making sure that the results were out before before the holidays, but still it's a nerve-wracking time. So it was open book and notes, so not the same. Well, I don't know, like it's not those, in my opinion, those exams are not necessarily easier. I think one big thing about those types of exams are that ideally the profs are writing them knowing that you have access to sort of open books and notes. So, in some cases there isn't necessarily a lot of value in just rote memorization of certain topics. And so it can be beneficial to sort of let people be able to look at and sort of reason through a particular set of problems. But I mean, take credit for the hard work you did. You know, that's something to be proud of, and I hope that you continue to excel. It's all good. You try your best to stay positive, and the days that you're not as chatty are the ones you just lurk till the end. I really appreciate that, Olaf. Again, I mean, I try not to check the names in chat all that much because it's really easy to get very numbers focused, and it's very easy to get sort of focused on sort of like who's in your chat or whatever. And I'm not entirely sure that necessarily leads to any sense of satisfaction or happiness. So, you know, but you know, with that in mind, I'm not like, it's not like I can't see it on Twitch. So, excuse me. You know, I definitely see some names, and I never want to take it for granted, but I always appreciate it. And thank you so much for gifting that, Olaf. I hope you enjoy it. It's huge. Again, for those of you not familiar, there are some lovely emotes here. I'm using all of them, but obviously there's limited access on a couple of those. I'm always happy to see them. I always like that people get some value out of them. And please do avail yourself while they're carrying on. I think there's a sufficiently wide range of emotion that's. So what you're saying, Olaf, is I need to encourage everyone in my chat to do well on midterms. All right. So again, we're just waiting on the shipyard, or specifically, we're actually waiting on the workday to start. So in an hour, we're gonna be earning some cash. I'm trying to decide if the Epicurus or the Machiavelli one is my favorite. I think it depends on my mood. The other ones are okay, but I definitely feel like those first two are they're probably the most used, and they're certainly my personal favorites. I find the most use for them. Now we are picking up from a previous session, so I don't know if I'm. Oh, actually, one thing I can do while we're waiting for the shipyard. I guess I need to decide if I want to expand this energy pylon or this energy pylon. This one is going to wind up probably more closely connected to the nodes. So we'll start by upgrading this one. And unfortunately, that means the work from home base is going to go down for a little while. So let's just wait until we're done earning some money. Another sort of long-term goal that I have for the factory here is to get rid of all of these waste receptacles. We will eventually build slightly more permanent storage, but obviously we're not the only ones sort of in control of that. There's the rate at which the waste gets burned. So overall, though, we'll be fine. We do need the shipyard to start making some real progress, but I think we're going to be in a good spot. So why do I have an idle worker? Certainly not for lack of. Maybe it is for lack of work. Hello, Index Gnome. How you doing? I'm comfortable enough that when we hit 1,000 up here, I'm going to build the shipyard. I don't see a lot of value in just waiting that out. I can also spend some of my influence, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, you know, I can try and get absorb the pollution through the ruins. You know, I could try and get the energy storage. I could try and take the large ruins for the artifacts. There's lots of different things that I can claim. Maybe another isotopes patch. Yeah, I should probably get on that first. In fact, if we have one idle, we can just get another person claiming those. Well, good. Thanks to the lady, you just had some great paella for dinner. Ooh, I like that. It has definitely been a while since I've had that. In Vancouver, so man, Vancouver was such a good trip. I had a bunch of people who just made me feel valued and fantastic, and it was the perfect antidote to the kind of nonsense that I have to deal with at work. But actually, the friends who I was staying with, my friend makes a wonderful paella, which I did not actually have during my trip, but it is a dish that brings back very fond. Like, okay, I am definitely not European, and I appreciate that there's sort of this culinary experience. You know, there's the whole idea of like having a meal and sort of being with people. Like, it's an event, right? And it's not necessarily something that always kind of translates. I mean, keeping in mind that like I had a single parent and I was largely responsible for my siblings growing up. You know, something in the microwave in front of the TV is probably going to be my my most common culinary memory. Having friends like that like really helped me sort of understand that kind of culture, you know, and just the idea of like remembering a particular food or a particular scent, the times that you spend with people. You know, I would definitely not consider myself a foodie, but I kind of got a little bit of a glimpse at a world that oh, hang on. I should have used the tier 3 isotopes. kind of get a little bit of a glimpse in a world that I don't normally see. So sorry, I realize that you probably didn't need a bit of exposition on your dinner, but that is one that has very fond associations in my memory. This thing's not going to have power right away. Again, I'm going to upgrade this particular energy pylon because it's more likely that we're going to want to link up to the isotope and mineral nodes. And if I want, I can get more energy. Yeah, why not? We'll slowly expand out to the other ruins. Traveled large parts of the world, tasted food everywhere you have been, but you have no clue what Canadian food would be. There's definitely a few things that are well known. In particular, so it is worth remembering that sort of there were two sort of cultures that settled Canada. So they're like French Canada and English Canada, in addition to having something of a complicated history in terms of the fact that French Canada has not always necessarily been treated very well by the English speaking, and it's very focused in Quebec. Not exclusively, though. Nova Scotia and some parts of BC actually would also count. Vikings. Yeah, there is. I mean, there was a recent news article about dating a couple of Viking settlements as well. But so if I think of some cases of sort of French Canadian cuisine, so I can think of tourtière, like a meat pie. I think pea soup. Poutine is probably a pretty famous one. That seemed to be a big export after the Olympics in Vancouver. Of course, maple syrup, I think, is another one that's... I mean, that's not exclusive to Canada, of course. I know...
Excellent. The shipyard is complete, Founder. We are one step closer to defending ourselves against hostile forces. Let's head inside and pick a hull. No time like the present.
I don't have the money for it. I don't have the power for it. Yeah, so there's a few, but I'll confess, like I don't necessarily know what sort of quintessentially Canadian either. I know in BC, I think salmon comes up a lot. I just like food. Just keep me from getting hungry. That's all I really need. I have not seen Dune yet. I'd really like to. I suppose if I was comfortable enough to get on a plane, I should be comfortable enough to go out to the movie theater. But I definitely would like to see it. I'll admit, I actually didn't mind the 1980s Dune with Kyle MacLachlan in it. But I realize that is not a beloved film. You watched it? Okay, so it's huge. Quite liked it. Did you care for it, Index Gnome? Olaf loved the 80s Dune. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. New one slow? Okay. I believe they're splitting that up into 2 films, right? Like the new one, didn't care for the old one. Fair enough. 2 or 3 films. Okay. Yeah, I'll admit I might be a little bit of a little inconsistent on this because I remember getting really mad at. Okay, so we're on leisure. We don't need to worry about work from home anymore. We're going to upgrade the energy pylon. This will give us the power for the shipyard. Then we can build the hull. Oh, that was a boo-boo. I didn't realize that was how we... Okay, so everything's shut down. But yeah, I quite liked the book The Hobbit, but I didn't see past the first movie. I really felt the first movie really wasted my time, and then I found out they were going to add a third one, and I'm like, you didn't make the most of your your first 3 hours. I'm not going to pay you for the rest. So I yeah, wasn't quite my cup of tea. Although Lord of the Rings movies are fine. So we don't have the credits for a proper hull, which is fine. We can live without. So we've got the Goshawk, the Gearfalcon, the Harpagus, or the Skua we need to pay for. So I suppose the question would be, I don't know. I feel like the Goshawk is the best one for me to go for. It's the fastest. So the small but reliable ship is a favorite amongst young corporations and packs a surprising punch. Now, the good news is that we're actually doing pretty well resource-wise, so we can probably get a couple of those up in the air right away. In fact, overall, I think that's a fair statement of the Enterprise in general, which is we're sort of drowning in minerals, so we can afford to expand a lot of our infrastructure. Let's put down a second transport hub for connection. I'm getting impatient. I can clean it up. Spaceport actually has a longer range than I thought, but where else are they going to live, right? Zethane's going to be a bit of a pain, though.
Alright, Founder, time to build a combat ship.
Hello, Murdochs.
First things first, we won't be going anywhere without an engine. And we need to provide fuel and energy just like we do for the rest of the city. Then we can think about the other necessaries: weapons, crew pods, life support. Don't worry if you get overwhelmed. I'll have your back along the way. When you're in the shipyard, just give me a call on the advisors button and I can help you out. And when we're ready to take off, just press launch. Easy as that.
Okay, so I should work out my energy costs and such. So I think we can afford one life support module. So we've got 4, 5, 6 for the... Okay. So one generator here. It's going to make things a little complicated, but yeah, that'll work. The drawback is I don't have a really good spot for the life support. I might be able to like kind of squeeze one in somewhere, but I'll try not to get too clever about it. I mean that, or I could just extend the I could just extend the range. Could try dismantling this. I don't know. I don't want to like throw the kitchen sink, like I don't want everything in plus the kitchen sink on this ship, because it is sort of like a simple little scout, but it wouldn't hurt to like have a serious run at this thing either. Okay, so we'll put a small fuel fabricator in there. We still need crew pods. Can't work today. One of your monitors... Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Just as a temporary measure, we're gonna turn off the... Tier 3 mineral refining for a little bit. Normally we have another mineral processor working. This is a little bit of a cheat in the sense that like people are climbing over each other in the crew pods, but I'm not the best. I had to pick between working and watching streams, etc. So you guess work had to be put on hold. Well, I appreciate that a lot, Index Gnome. Obviously, I was talking about how I don't like taking people for granted, and it's always nice to see sort of the names showing up. You know, learning. I don't know, especially when people seem to kind of like their work. It definitely means a lot that I've won out for as long as I have you. So thank you for that. I'll put a small battery there as well. For big stuff, we can definitely put a fuel tank there. I'll probably get some more down, but let's work out what's going on with the engines first. 3 engines. So this thing is generating 4 and it needs 2. So yeah, we're quite happy with what we've got fuel-wise. Yeah, at this point it's just kind of filling in the rest of the details. Oh yes, sorry, I was going to build a medical pod. So I guess that's got to go... Definitely cramming it in. The rest of it's just going to be batteries, although I don't know if we have that much space. Work ethic's top notch. You should have a replacement by tomorrow if the delivery company is not too slow. Yeah, I think I've finally got my buzzer for my apartment hooked up, but that doesn't really seem to have improved the rate at which delivery people actually deliver things to my apartment, which I am a little salty about, but I try, like, I'm definitely not the person who gets very cranky with like service workers. I generally don't think that's a particularly good look, and I also appreciate that there can sometimes be other factors at play that are not, you know, directly relevant to the task at hand. So the one, and I still don't even feel great about this particular bit, the one time that I do get a little nastier is when someone's lying to me. I've definitely had a couple of cases where it's very clear that someone's being misleading. Like, I once had a phone company claim that they were a credit bureau and that they were making adjustments to my like my credit report or whatever. Like, in Canada, there was this thing for a while where I think they tried to make it so that not paying your phone bill would be reported on your credit bureau. And so I moved and set up an auto pay, and the auto pay didn't activate. So I actually called them a second time and I said, you know, could you please set this up and pay the account? It was like, okay, well, the auto pay will automatically take the account, even though it's past the time. Yes, even though it's past the time. I'm like, are you sure? Because that's not how that normally works. Like, nope, yep, I know how our systems work. You'll be fine. Okay, get another message. Hey, you haven't paid your phone. I'm like, oh, what a surprise. Hey, your auto pay didn't seem to pull, and you know, I'd really like to both simultaneously pay my bill and deal with it. So anyways, long story short, I get it resolved. I actually, to this day, do not have autopay enabled for the phone company because I believe there were 2 more incidents like that. And essentially I was just watching my bill, like waiting for it and double checking whether or not anything had processed. But again, so after that, you know, I said, I was like, okay, and I would like to make sure that this is not, you know, this is, you know, you're the ones who said to set up the auto pay. You're the ones who kind of had this up. I expect that this will not be reported as a failure to pay on the credit bureau. So, you know, escalate it to the next person. Fair enough. You know, talk with them. Hi, here's the deal. If you take a look at the notes of the account, you can see there have been multiple attempts to set up the auto pay. You know, I've specifically requested to have the pay come through. You know, hasn't happened. My bill is now paid, but I do not feel it's appropriate to be, you know, marked as delinquent on this account. Could you please remove that from the bureau? We don't change the bureau. I'm like, well, you know, I did work for a credit card company, and you can, in fact, you know, when it is inaccurately reported, that is exactly what it can be handled. Whenever we didn't set up an auto pay, we did that. So I'd appreciate it. You know, just please review the notes on the account. You will see this is a very easy to understand mistake. I'm not, you know, not going to be upset about it, but, you know, I think it's the right thing to do. Eventually this guy gets the point. It's like, you know, eventually they're like, okay, yes, it'll be changed. I'm like, okay, and how will I register the change? It's like, I am the credit bureau. I'm gonna do the change right now. And like, I was like, really? Can I just clarify what credit union you are, or a credit bureau you are? It's like, are you TransUnion or Equifax? TransUnion. I'm like, oh, okay. So I hope you don't mind, you know. And I was like, so my home equity line of credit, is that still, you know, is that still $250,000? Yep. It's like, oh, well, that's a shame because I don't have a home equity line of credit. You know, like, obviously it's total nonsense, but, you know, at this point we need to dance around the issue. I mean, eventually it was all cleared out, and I don't believe that they report to the credit bureau anymore. But like, that's the sort of stuff I actually get angry at representatives over, because there's no reason to lie. That doesn't help the call. If anything, it extends the call. And it means that we're no longer at a point where we're 2 people trying to make the most of a terrible situation that a company has put us into. It's a more adversarial relationship, and I really don't like being into that. So we don't have a credit system like that. If you fail to pay, it will eventually give you marks, but those will be removed the moment the bills are paid. No lingering stuff. Yeah, I've always wondered how, so like, when I have actually worked in credit adjudication. Now, admittedly, it was for credit cards, so those aren't exactly the, like, those aren't the biggest thing. Like, I think the largest amount that you'll have on a standard credit card is like $50,000, which is still a fair amount of money, right? You don't just give that to anyone. But like, credit cards are not exactly the sort of thing where you're putting your A team to work out all the details. You know, it's generally going to be things like, you know, mortgages, corporate loans, like that sort of stuff is going to be the, you know, the more hardcore credit stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, there's the score that you'll see on the. I think this is actually why more banks are like saying what the credit score is now. I mean, one, I'm assuming it's just a really convenient way of getting people to sort of sign into their services, but like I'd see the TransUnion score, and like I never used it. I always used an internal score, you know, that our risk department had, or I just used my good judgment, right? But yeah, like I don't think I've ever actually used a point where, and I mean, part of it was just because, as you say, like some of the stuff that you'll see on a credit bureau isn't necessarily that relevant. Like the fact that somebody like missed a credit card payment once 2 years ago, like, is that really a factor that should be determining their credit worthiness? Like, should I be jacking up their interest rate 10% because they missed a bill once? It's not really informative, but that sticks for a long time. On the other hand, like, you definitely want to know if somebody's not, like, you know, I generally would not feel very comfortable seeing someone who's sort of at the limit of all of their credit products who's asking for another one, right? That's not the best sign. And I'm not necessarily sure I'm helping someone by, you know, getting them further into debt. Of course, I say this as somebody with a credit line that still needs to get paid. Hopefully within a year. I try to keep the YouTube, the Twitch and YouTube stuff to be focused on it. I'm actually, so Windows 11 definitely won't support my processor, and I am I'm still on a 6700K. So personally, for me, this is working fine. But I do need to recognize that either through lacking access to the OS that the game is available for, or sort of recognizing that there's going to be more of a strain on the processor, and as a consequence, that's going to be affecting the stream. I do eventually need to start thinking about when I'm going to do a proper upgrade, and generally what I have tried to do is make that something that I use the Twitch money for. But we'll see. I mean, again, I'm not like going out of my way to spend money right now. I'm definitely trying to earn money. Oh, by the way, on the work note, I believe Ubisoft will be calling tomorrow, and I think that is a job offer, so we'll see. Some years ago, you asked for a higher credit limit on your credit card. Your bank at the time did not want to give you that. You did go to the bank next door, told them that your bank had said no, and that if this bank wanted a new customer, all they had to do was comply with your wish list for a credit limit, and it took 3 minutes and you had a new bank. That happens. I am not going to lie, again, I'm not the person who's interacting with the customer, but if I could do it, I would try and make sure that the bank I was working for was the one that they had the highest limit for. Hey, Jamie Sam, how you doing? Okay, I don't know what's happening with that last worker. Obviously, we're sort of kind of idle right now. I'm wondering why we are not ready to launch. Insufficient life support. Oh, I'm a bonehead. I completely forgot to put the life support in. That's actually going to be tough to fit in. So let's dismantle the medical pod. Miss Ariella! We got some good people in here. So I'm doing much better than I was at the start, Jamie Sam. I've got some lovely people in the chat, including Olaf T. Harry, and we've got Miss Ariella, who I don't always get a chance to say hello and sing the praises of. But she's here. In fact, I will let you know that Olaf is one of Miss Ariella's mods and does an excellent job of it. And for those of you who do like watching Ari's stuff, they have been playing Borderlands 2 together, and they've actually let me come along, which I think was very nice. And I think they have a good rapport in the game. It's actually really fun to like just be in a game with them. But on top of that, Miss Ariella is definitely a very talented broadcaster, and I've had a lot of fun watch her play that game, or really that series for the first time. So for those of you who are fans of Borderlands, I have a very enthusiastic recommendation for you. Okay, so this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I could try skipping the medical pod altogether. Or I just extend the... I just extend the power. Anyways, Miss Ariella is a true variety streamer. I know I try and be variety, but I also take a while on the games that I play. Miss Ariella really does just about everything. She's got an amazing ability. Anytime she gets a key for a game, she pretty much accepts it and plays it and does a great job of it. It makes me absolutely ashamed of my own abilities as a broadcaster. So she's also pretty good at the smart person games, although she would say she isn't. But overall, definitely somebody who... I mean, I had the great pleasure of knowing her in Vancouver when I lived there. And, okay, I'm going to break the usual rule I have for the setup. So all this stuff is going to be entombed, but... But yeah, no, I definitely recommend Miss Ariella. In fact, I highly recommend that Miss Ariella plays this wonderful game, Industries of Titan, by Brace Yourself Games, the geniuses behind such games as Crypt of the Necrodancer, Cadence of Hyrule, and Phantom Brigade. How have you been, Ari? I know I got a chance to chat with you on Discord a little bit, but... I think, even though there's some problems with this design, I'm going to save the blueprint. A little under the weather? I'm sorry to hear that.
All right, Founder. Every city corp reaches the limits of their territory and vision eventually. To cut through the smog and see further, we need a command center. The command center will extend our vision range and expand the territory we can claim from the council. Once we build it, though, we better make sure it stays standing. If we lose our command center, faraway buildings will no longer be under our control. Build a command center now. Let's claim some more land.
So I will do that, but I want to take a look at the territory first. So we've got rebels up here. Should actually also just try and get the second second ship ready to go. I do want to think about some heavier hitters, but let's try another Goshawk before too long. Also, I keep forgetting to add more pops. Let's start clearing out some of these obsidian ruins, though, because I'm sitting on a whole lot of... influence. So I will build a command center. I'll probably do it to claim the isotope node, and it's just going to be a question of sort of tying up all the... or tying together all the links, or all the power. Okay, there's a second. These things aren't really designed for ship-to-ground combat. These are going to be more screeners. Okay, so there's a third. Oops. Oh. That's probably a fourth. I didn't like that money anyway. Alright, so we're feeling a little cramped here. One thing I can do is get the ruin monument and try and get some extra influence there. Usually what I try and do if I'm claiming territory is I just go as far out as I can in terms of the region, so that would either mean these ruins or these ruins. Given the fact that I do want the ruin monument and the isotope node, I think going for the corner is better. So we'll convert this into artifacts. And a leisure cycle as well, so let's start building up for our residential and office areas. I still may wind up converting this smokestack, given the fact that there is a filter. Well, yeah, so even if there's a filter, though, there's still a lot of zethane in the area. So I think the fact of the matter is that this is just not going to be a very nice place to live, pollution-wise, and we'll work around it. At this point, we're just going to do what Alexa tells us to do. So in this case, we need to build a command center. We need 4 isotopes for that. Oh wow, I really neglected my tier 3 minerals. Okay, so we got to go back to work from work. And we'll turn on the tier 3 refining again. Also, it looks like we've got some more space for our waste receptacles, so... dismantle a bunch of those. This will also give me a bunch of tier 2 minerals as a result. Miss Ariella? Oh, Olaf! Well, I mean, Ari too, but... Olaf, thank you very much for gifting yet another sub. I guess I'm a little bit closer to that processor. Thank you very much. Now, if I don't see those emotes being blasted inside of Ari's chat, I'm going to be really disappointed. By the way, if anybody does have any questions about Industries of Titan, right now I've just been going through the tutorial, and right now I'm working through... I'm trying to get to the point where we have our research advisor, but I did want to sort of follow things as the tutorial was telling me. Unfortunately, I neglected my... I sort of neglected my my mineral needs. So we're going to need to build up to be able to get a another level or to get the next command center built. One thing I would like to do is try and upgrade this energy plant. So to do that, we would need another 12 fuel, which we can afford. And, you know, we've got quite a bit stored up right now. So what's that going to cost me? 24 isotopes? I think we can afford that, but I am going to probably have to... I'm probably going to have to enable the isotope refining as well. So sort of full speed ahead on all of our industry. Oh wow, we really ripped through that energy. You know what? Let the chips fall where they may. I do like these zippy ships. So once I have a little more cash, I'll definitely consider building a proper sort of turret smasher. But question about the game: when does the dino taming start happening? You don't remember this bit of art? Oh, well, you see, you've mistaken it. There's a game called Lost Ark, which I bought, and you can see that. Well, if you buy Lost Ark, it's true to its name. They don't want to false advertise, and so the Ark is truly lost, and that's why this is actually Industries of Titan, and Lost Ark is self-explanatory. So we'll repair from the misadventure. It'd be nice if I didn't have to spend that money, but probably better I just deal with it now. So this, yeah, we're not even remotely close to what we need for that. So against my better judgment, I think I am going to spend the last of my energy. You know what? No, I'm not, because that's expensive, and we can do better. So if I just take my energy pylon, I can even stick it here. Let's at least get the benefits of the... Do I want one artifact, or... Yeah. I'll probably upgrade it, but I'd really like to have a more secure supply of isotopes before I go too crazy on it. There's a few other things I'll do. Like, there's a bunch of this stuff that I can just slowly buzz down for its resource values. Not all of these have artifacts, but I've been trying to sort of take advantage of some of the stuff just lying on the ground. So for instance here, right, we've got a bunch of isotopes which are currently being unused. You know, the funny thing is, I really want to like Ark, but I haven't really been able to play that much of it. Like, I play for a little bit and I build like a hovel, and then I like close it and never come back to it. I understand there's a lot more to that game, but I never really spent a lot of time in it. Okay, so this only needs 2 isotope construction units, so we'll use the tier 2 here. There are the repairs coming. Should rename the shipyard to something like the Miss Airy Port. No. I'll stick these over crevices that I'm not currently using for fuel production. And then I do need to rebuild my workforce. I did just stick 3 of them on a ship. Well, in total I stuck 6 of them on a ship, but no conversion devices or training. Yeah. Let it all up. There we go. Oh, how many hours? Good lord. Feel like I should try that then.
Founder,
Right.
the Council is granting you communication access to your advisors. You can now contact your advisors for direction when needed. You will find their contact information in the top right corner of your screen. I highly recommend you lean on them when necessary. They are all experts in their fields, after all.
I think this was a pretty clever move that they made. So I think one of the complaints, and I think it was a fairly legitimate complaint, was that the tutorial for the game was quite long. And I'm not necessarily sure that's the worst thing in the world, because there is quite a bit to do in Industries of Titan. And it definitely doesn't hurt to have sort of a guide in terms of getting everything ready to go. But it does sort of leave you wondering, like, when am I actually playing the game? And, like, to me, I know when the game is started and, like, what the experience is like. But I need to take it from the perspective of somebody who is new to the game. And so a lot of the stuff that maybe we got used to in the tutorial are, are from these. I am curious if the star means that this is a new lesson, but let's see the new character, Dr. Braxton Daw.
You have now completed all the Landfaller basic training, Founder. But if you wish to further curry the Council's favor, there are rebel encampments we would like you to remove. And don't forget to contact your advisors if you need them.
I was trying to.
You can also find helpful tooltips on all of Titan's objects and buttons, compiled by our archivists. That is all. Don't disappoint us.
Founder, it's time for us to pursue a campaign of rebel extermination. There are several rebel encampments nearby. We can crush them all. Explore the remaining territory in this sector. When we find rebels, send them packing. The Council will be grateful. Nothing makes them happier than a rebel running scared.
So again, I am going to set this up as a separate isotope refining operation, and then we'll just start slowly kind of filtering roads into, or like we'll just kind of start slowly building roads into a larger network. Again, it is going to create some complications for the residential areas that I'm going to build here, but that's, that's life, right? I can really worry about that when they implement happiness. Okay, we were going to talk to the new character. Ah, Founder, it's time to build a science lab. Why? It's not like I can work without one. Oh, sorry, why? It's not why isn't a question. Right. Although through the science lab, you can use your artifacts to uncover and fund new technologies. I may even be able to harness ancient technology from the civilization before us, if you're lucky. I will, of course, need assistance, but we can worry about that later. All right, let's see the stars.
Founder, we've been picked up by the enemy's radar. The hostiles are preparing to attack and will arrive shortly. Action stations, everyone. Ready all systems and destroy the enemy birds.
Rebels are a thorn in our side, and the Council expects you to dispatch them. We encourage the total destruction of their forces, and therefore do not require war bonds when attacking rebels. War bonds are something that I believe is coming in the future, but I also seem to recall it was something that came up in the original sort of teaser for the game.
Founder, you may have noticed that there are several patches of resource-rich land near your territory. Surface-level minerals and isotopes require no special equipment to harvest. This makes them the best choice for a new city.
Wolfenstein, how you doing?
should claim this land from the Council as soon as possible.
So again, we are still building towards our mining operations, so it doesn't hurt for me to grab some of these patches. I think I'll also try and save up for the level 2 obsidian ruins here. It's kind of the last big ticket item. The rest of it should be pretty easy to take down. We're slowly making... Well, actually, okay, this isn't the smartest decision I've ever made, but I'm really going to start pushing that back. So this may cause other problems later. Oh, thank you, Wolfenstein. This is actually very similar to something that was tweeted by the Industries of Titan Twitter account. I mean, it was my design, but it's not actually the full version yet. I may not get around to building the full version on Work from Work, but we will do a version of it for the isotope node when the time comes. I forgot to convert more workers. Okay, so again, unless the rebels attack us, we're just going to wait for the upgrade to happen. We'll accumulate some more resources, and then, or influence rather, and then we will claim the isotope patch when we can. Well, let's see what it'll cost. Yeah, the science lab's reasonably affordable. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to pick it up. I think I'll just stick that on the end of the shipyard. We can build 2 of them. I do want to be a little conscious about my my energy, but I don't think that should hit us too hard. And then, of course, in the worst case scenario, I should be able to upgrade the fuel turbine one more time, and then the energy plant. The biggest thing I'd like right now is more money, but or more credits. But yeah, it is a bit of a shame. I'm wondering if that's an early access thing, or if people are waiting for some more things to be implemented. I'm not 100% sure what the story on it is. Because I mean, the thing is that I tend to play this game quite slowly. So I can see, I can see why people may not necessarily want to see me play it. But I think this is a very streamable and a very enjoyable game. And I think probably with the addition of the new victory conditions, there's going to be, so for people who maybe aren't all that interested in building a big fleet and crushing the rebels that way, I suspect that there's probably going to be a bit more for them in, basically in a month's time. But I mean, I think it's fairly clear to see. I think it's pretty easy to see that I don't necessarily have my finger on the pulse of what quote unquote the gamers want. But Del, it's good to see you. Efficient with the trash in this layout, you always feel that you need more trash bins connected. Well, I'm a little lucky here. So obviously now I've got the garbage carpet, but that's just because of the way. The way this turned out. This will eventually get itself cleaned up. I've got a direct line into the smokestack, so I'm certainly not hurting for, a good trash pipeline. We were certainly it was being handled pretty well right up until I blew up all the trash bins. So, no, I think this has worked out pretty well for me so far. I can also, buy more trucks later, but I'd like to buy some buildings first. Okay, when I can, I'll connect these. Oop, we've got a relay? Huh. So this will absorb pollution, but presumably it will absorb some of the ethane as well. Compared to you play Russia. Oh, wow. Okay, sensor, that won't hurt because we do have some rebels in the area. I'm not going to claim any of this yet. Like, I really should make sure that I'm tending to my more immediate needs. Yeah, it is 4 for that, so. I should probably consider upgrading the smokestack at some point too. Yeah, it's 24. I can't really afford it, but let's run with it. Wow, that's a lot of ruins. So I'd like to, I would prefer to have a better road network down if I'm completely honest, but I'll worry about that a bit later. And the other thing to remember is that like fans and purifiers are my friend as far as the residential area is concerned. Like I don't need to be that worried about it. What I am going to need to worry about though at some point is better kind of better fuel and energy setup. So I think we'll probably kill. I guess we need to put a mine somewhere here. So yeah, we could maybe do like a mine here, fuel turbine here. Definitely a fuel turbine beside this crack. Like if you just take a look at the Zethane map, like this is glorious. Yeah, we definitely have lots of options. Sorry, I guess it's Zethane. I'm still bad at pronouncing it. In fact, we could probably start with the fuel turbine here. This would be the better spot, though. Okay, well we're already extracting it, so. Oh, but this is drat. Okay, so maybe I should put it here. I guess it doesn't really matter, but... When is the right time to build research, and do you have any right building orders? Good question. So, I mean, I haven't really worked out timings and things like that. I'm sitting on 18 artifacts right now, and I've got a full workforce. So to me, it seems like this is a good time for me to build research because what else am I going to be doing with the artifacts? But on the other hand, if you're trying to build up that workforce, I can definitely see why you might be reluctant to, why you might be reluctant to build a building like this right away. Let me just see what our options here. So we can boost our HQ range. It's pretty tempting. Energy plant fuel requirement -3. HR upgrade. Oh, that's a good one too. And an increased ticket generation. Okay, so I think we're gonna grab this one and this one. Let's start with the... Sorry, I gotta get some people inside first. So I think we're gonna start with it's a tough call. I think I am gonna do the employee upgrade first and then the energy. Citizen ad revenue +10. That's going to be a big one. Ooh, Gatling gun. I kind of have to get that one just so we can try the new toy. Truck movement. I mean, that'll be good, but we don't need that right away. God, there's a lot of good stuff here. We definitely need to improve our ability to make money, though, so I should probably probably focus on that first. So I'm just trying to think about the best way to work out. So I can build a fuel turbine here. Oh, I can't build a fuel turbine here, so... I think probably these two in the middle are the right call. As far as the proper building order, I mean, where I can, I try to make my decisions based around actions that will like I try to take actions that are consistent with me being able to do more things. So, like, what I mean by that is if I am... So, like, as long as I've got enough isotopes to build a factory and an energy pylon, I don't worry about isotope refining that much at the start. Because obviously you need minerals to build stuff, not isotopes. But I do tend to work pretty aggressively towards being able to get level 3 minerals, and that's just simply because, you know, being able to build that up and being able to, you know, kind of make the most of your resources early on, to me that's just a little bit more consistent with my long-term success. But the thing is that, like, I've seen people play, you know, they're only on their, like, second or third wave, but they wind up, like, they've got a really, like, not just a good base, but, like, a really nice looking base. So, and I'm a little envious about their ability to do that. So, you know, it's a part of it's a temperament thing, right? Heretics, the world is flat. But yeah, for now, I think the focus is going to be on getting enough cash to be able to... Oh, hang on, I'm not actually researching. Let's get on those extra workers. By the way, I believe that research time is cut in half because of the upgraded science lab, or the doubled up science lab. We are going to have some energy problems when the rebels attack. So I'm going to try and lay sort of the long-term plan. Actually, here's one thing I'll do. We'll buy a truck. So I'm going to try and lay some long-term plans for getting some extra energy generation. Not just upgrading this energy plant, but actually building another one. And again, at some point I would really like to be able to build my residential areas. Mind you, I'd also like to build a mine, so there's lots to do. Feel free, fire away as many questions as you'd like, Wolfenstein. Obviously, I'm not always able to give the best answers to them, but I'll do as well as I can on any questions that you might have. I think what I'm going to do, because I don't really need the artifacts right now, I'm going to start clearing out some of these, like any kind of tier 1 more resource-oriented. Do I want to do that? Maybe I just want to save up my influence and take out some of the obsidian ruins instead. I definitely don't need the minerals right now, so we're going to focus on developing this part of the map first. I suppose it wouldn't hurt for me to clear out a path for the mining operation and then just getting the roads connected. Pollution still isn't quite hitting work from home, so I'm happy with that. If it starts, you know, hitting into the factory, well, actually, I guess the headquarters has some like worker slots, so I maybe should be a little more careful about that. As far as the second wave is concerned, I think we're in a good spot for it. What I really want to be focusing on, sort of objective-wise, is getting a second shipyard up. but that's not really going to happen until I have the energy for it. We need at least 24 for that. And one of the easiest ways for me to get where I need to be energy-wise is just to get this isotope node up and running. We're going to exhaust this patch, and we don't have that. So if I just take a look at all of the places where I can get isotopes, you know, yes, we have these, but I'm getting them, like, I'm spending 20 influence to be able to get, you know, 9 at a time, 3 at a time. That's really not conducive to, like, a quickly, like, a rapidly expanding enterprise. So where I can, I want to put the effort into developing this node. And we'll definitely take care of all of these other ruins, but maybe, like, once we have something like a ruin monument. Okay. What is best, build more or upgrade? You use the isotopes for new upgrades. For example, upgrade a defense tower to the max. It's better than to build more towers. You always have doubts about building more or upgrading what you have. Well, again, that's a personal taste thing, but I think there are some good guidelines that you can get. And a lot of it, you can either think of it in terms of opportunity cost, or you can think of it in terms of what kind of infrastructure you need to build to be able to support it. So, for instance, I've got a level 3 defense turret right now. Now, one thing that's really helpful about the defense turrets is that the more that you upgrade them, the wider their radius is. So until we started expanding out here, we really didn't need to worry that much about, you know, most of the stuff that I'd built is kind of covered by this defense turret. Now, right now, it has an energy requirement of 48. So what would it cost me to build a single level 1 turret? Well, on top of, you know, the 400 minerals, the 8 isotopes, so on and so forth, it's also 20. Sorry, let me just double check that. So that's 24 and 24 and 48, right? So the the level 3 is twice as much energy as the tier 1. I kind of thought that was the case, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to assume too much. I don't know if it says anything damage-wise, but obviously this thing does quite a bit. Oh, 1 HP per shot. What about this? Okay, it doesn't say anything there. I have the feeling that this thing does more damage. It sure feels like it does more damage. So, you know, if you can concentrate all of your industry and have it protected by one very strong defensive turret, then you're doing all right. If, on the other hand, you've got a more spread out enterprise, then clearly you're going to feel like you want to have multiple defense turrets. And in this case, you just also need to accept that these defense turrets are going to be doing, like, less overall. Like, a level 1 defense turret is just simply not going to do as much damage as its level 3 counterpart. And that might be fine, because maybe what's happening is you've got, like, a navy that's going to be backing them up. So it's maybe not such a big deal that they're not, you know, that they're not doing as much damage. But the big thing here is that if you're in a situation a little bit like me, where you don't have a lot of isotopes, you know, that cost of upgrading for level 2 to level 3 can be incredibly high. And you may not want to give up those scarce resources that you have. So for instance, if I want to take this energy plant from level 2 to level 3, that's going to cost me 90 construction units worth of isotopes. Well, that's basically going to prevent me from being able to upgrade anything else. And so the question that you might want to ask yourself at that point is like, okay, what am I getting in exchange for this, exchange for this upgrade? Well, what I'd be getting right now is my fuel requirements would go from 36 to 48, which means I'd no longer have a fuel surplus. I'd likely have a fuel deficit. I would be earning a lot more energy. In this case, I'd be earning, I think, 54 more energy. And then the question would be, well, what do I, like, is that worth it? Well, in this case, there's maybe a small argument here for me to just build another energy plant, because I've got a pretty good surplus of workers. It seems to me like I can kind of afford to have an extra worker move over into one of the other jobs. One of the reasons why it's attractive to upgrade an energy or fuel turbine is that you don't have to give up a worker in order to do that. So here we're gonna lower the fuel requirements. So again, it's sort of a question of where you're at. When you're early on in the game, you actually have a lot of space that you can work with, and so many times it makes sense to just sort of spread out rather than spend all your isotopes on upgrades. But in my particular case, I don't like giving up a lot of employees in order to be able to generate resources that I need. So like right now, I'm giving up 3 employees just to be able to cover my fuel and energy needs for my enterprise. And then combine that with the fact that I now have a science lab and a smokestack, well, that's now 3 more. So all of a sudden that's 6 employees that are not really doing anything productive. And suddenly those numbers start adding up. Do you have the work cost per resource unit figured out? What do you mean exactly by I see the word. Like I think I have an idea of what you're talking about, but I'd maybe just like to get a little more precise. You're not talking about, like, this isn't a worker thing, right? The combination of all of it. I'm not entirely sure I follow. I'll say no. But it may just be that I'm being particularly obtuse on your Twitch comment. But yeah, so Wolfenstein, it's a hard one to have a hard and fast rule for, just because if you have an abundance of a certain type of resource, there's a really good argument for you to build more things with that resource. So for instance here, like in my current situation, I could spend 24 isotopes to build another work from home setup. But in reality, I mean, I don't even need to spend the 20 influence, but like I could spend 4 isotopes and then I guess another 2 to combine it, and I would get the exact same floor space with just a second factory. But on the other hand, if my energy pylon doesn't have enough coverage, then I'm like, okay, well maybe I do need to start building up. But in general, I try to keep my isotopes for upgrading, defensive positions like defense turrets, energy plants, fuel turbines, that sort of thing. And it's a hard question, case by case. You almost mess up trusting and only 1 level 3 tower, and just as you start to think of 3 level 4 towers, it's better, but you didn't try. There aren't I don't think there's level 4, is there? I've only ever built up to level 3. But the other thing too, right, is that combat has so many different variables. So for instance, like, the fact that I've got a couple of ships, even if the waves actually start going up to a higher level, the fact that I have ships on the field now will allow me to sort of move the enemy units. Oh, 3, sorry. I get it now. You're talking about level, okay. You're talking about the number of towers. Gotcha. But yeah, the fact that I have these individual, ships, and I can move them around, it means that I'm going to be able to, sort of draw them into the defensive turrets and move them away from enemy targets. And so as a result, I might feel a need to make fewer turrets than I would in other circumstances. Okay, say you need 1x for Y and 2x for Z. For A, you need 1x and 2y, so it turns out to be 5. Oh, yeah. Okay, no, sorry. I was being particularly thick. No, I haven't actually. I haven't sat down and worked that out. I know I do that for Boyfriend Dungeon because there's actually some really good deals that you. Yeah, I know what you're saying though, right? Like to work out the how many. Yeah, I don't want to say turtles all the way down, but like basically, have I actually been able to? Could I tell people like exactly how much of a given resource they're giving up in order to be able to build their defensive tower? I tend not to think. I tend to be a little bit more intuition driven on that. But yeah, no. It is hit or miss for me as to whether or not I do that in a game. So I haven't done this for Industries of Titan. I have done this for calculating the net worth. Well, I didn't do that exact same thing, but I definitely calculated like what each item is worth as far as net worth. I've got the spreadsheet somewhere. But Boyfriend Dungeon has been the one where I tend to actually do the hardcore accounting for whatever reason. You have to learn to do that. You always build a later spaceport. So one of the things I tried to do for a few rounds, I've obviously shifted in this case here, but I've actually tried to not build defensive turrets because I was relying on them too much in the past, and I've been building more shipyards lately. In reality, a combination of the two I think is the best approach, but it kind of depends on how you like to work. Oh, cool! I did not realize there was a launch going. Okay, let's get some more employees and let's. I think in this case I'm gonna buy another. I'm going to buy an office. There's a small argument for a conversion center, but we're doing okay with the conversion center and headquarters for now, so. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of breathing room. So I'm going to build an energy pylon here, and we're going to dismantle this one when I can. Yeah, I did watch, I'm trying to remember which, there was another launch like a month or two ago. I did watch that one. Oddly enough, so even though there's like real life launches happening, the one thing that was really good at getting me playing Kerbal Space Program again was actually the Apple TV Plus series For All Mankind, which I tremendously enjoyed. I've gotten to the end of the second season, and I was a little sad about where it wound up, because there's a couple characters there's one character who I really liked, and I'm happy with where they wound up, but in broad strokes, but like not. It was sad. But yeah, that actually has done more to make me be like very space enthusiastic than the actual real life space stuff that's happening, and I there's something weird about that, but. Oop, that was a little premature. Well, I'm not too worried about the energy just because I can kind of upgrade this whenever I want. It's why I built this fuel turbine. So I don't have a lot of energy storage right now, but I'm not actually that worried about I'm really not that worried about my energy needs. Oh, what did I mess up? Aha. Okay. Nope, that's not going to cover it. Well, you know what? I think I'll just accept the mistake and... I'm just waiting for the 80 influence so I can take these obsidian ruins. Oh, nuts. We had payday. I should have just bought some more trucks. All right, so the reason I wanted to do that was to try and get my residential areas up and running. Then again, I did say I wanted to buzz down the obsidian ruins, so I'll be patient. I hate being patient, but I will be. I am gonna speed things up though. Because at this point we just need the Enterprise to run. I suppose if I wanted, I could just do the upgrade now. I'm just trying to think if there's any wisdom in doing that. Yeah, we can. We'll just turn off the work from home setup for a little bit. Ah. Excuse me. Patience is a virtue only for those with no imagination. The rest of us know we have other stuff we can do. Oh, I actually didn't have enough money for payday. Alright, I got the worst of both worlds on that. Okay, so I can claim these obsidian ruins and their precious resources, and then I'm gonna... So, you know, livability, it's a tough call, right? The closer I move here, the closer it is to Zethane. I want to try and protect from the pollution. Just, in general, it's a little bit of a knife's edge. And it's going to be made worse because I am going to have roads sort of running through here. I'll try and like dodge most of the residential areas, but the fact of the matter is that it's going to get a little hard to live in this spot. But I don't know, maybe like an office here. Well, office, residence. I guess I'd have to do it that way. Yeah, maybe I'd get away with... I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I suppose we can start building the first ones now. We don't have that much left. So at some point I will build another energy plant, probably just right beside the existing one, but I'm really trying to think if there's any benefit to letting this thing generate zethane, just because I have so much in other and more concentrated areas. I suppose the bonus would be what it gives to the headquarters. But I don't know. I feel like there's other opportunities for me. What I may also want to consider is, so I got to figure out a way of how I'm going to get a road to head down here. And I don't know if I want to like run it through on this side or if we just kind of go out and around on the edge. Either way, I'm probably going to have to build a filtration system. Jim the Eternal, thank you so much for the host. How you doing tonight? And we have N Darkstar. Welcome, Jim the Eternal. Good to see you. And we'll decide why this bonus isn't always good. Well, no, it's a good bonus, but just like consider where I would want to put my fuel turbines. So like I've got a great little deposit of zethane here. We've got one here. And these are like multiple crevices that are all producing zethane. And then we have this one, which is going to generate zethane. So if I build a fuel turbine, that's going to make the livability go down. The zethane itself is going to make the livability go down. And in the end, I'm not going to be able to realize as much as I would from exploiting some of the existing territory that I have. So, I mean, I don't think the way it works right now, there's no penalty for a low livability, but it's hard to say that you don't really want to go out of your way to generate zethane in an area where you're not necessarily going to see a benefit. We've got, is it Iltsign? Are you doing good, feeling good? Had a nice, comfy RimWorld stream. Not too much death. And raiding and running. Enjoy the stream. No problem at all. Guys, for those of you who don't know Jim the Eternal, probably... I know this is sort of dating myself or making myself seem like I'm not hanging out enough, but I actually know Jim the Eternal from Cultist Simulator originally, but has already outed themselves as a RimWorld streamer. Actually, probably is better known as a RimWorld streamer, but of course the connection with Cultist Simulator for me, I know that's what has driven a lot of you to the broadcast. But definitely very supportive broadcaster, and particularly somebody who tends to host me a lot more than I get to host them. So the fact that they continue to still do that speaks to either a tenacity or just a strength of character that makes them a much better host than I am. But I hope you have a good evening. Thank you very much for the host, Jim, and for those of you from Jim's channel, I completely understand that sometimes you will sign up for one broadcaster and not necessarily be into whatever they wind up hosting. So I do appreciate you coming by and sort of just being such a good, I don't know, a good batch supporting your streamers. But I totally get if you don't stick around, because I am an acquired taste. I do, however, hope that at some point you do check out the game that I'm playing, which is Industries of Titan, which I have a feeling probably would appeal to a RimWorld focused group. I've only played a little bit of RimWorld. I still need to really have it get its hooks in me and properly get into all of the details of it. But this is definitely along the lines of sort of a big simulation city builder. This is by Brace Yourself Games, who did give me a key for promotional purposes. But it's right now it's still in early access, so there's quite a bit that is kind of being built up and developed for the game. But it is an awful lot of fun. And they do an update about every month, so it's definitely been one which has been a lot of fun to follow, as well as one that has really grown since I played it way back when it was an Epic exclusive. So if you do have any questions about the game, Wolfenstein's been good at asking some particular questions about this playthrough. But for those of you who are curious about it, I do have a fair amount of time in the game, and I should be able to answer most questions. I'm going to turn off the residential and office for a little bit. At least until we can get a proper secondary power plant up. I'm trying to think, would it make sense to put it alongside the science lab? Yeah, that might work. The big thing bulldozing that gets me is kind of a corridor to run my roads through. But again, it's not that hard to just go out and around like this. I think probably a mine. Yeah, I think I need to buy a mine next. Also, almost certainly researched. Yeah, we researched this a while ago. So, again, council... Wait a minute, there was one that got me more money from ad revenue. Yeah, so we'll spend up for that. I can work with this for now, I think. I'm an excellent in solving problems, always give you exceptionally brilliant answers. I make things a different way. Yeah, well, here's the thing, Wolfenstein. I mean, this is one of the reasons why it's sometimes fun to share these games on stream. Like, I tend to really... I mean, actually, what you've described is one of the reasons why I tend to be a little kind of antsy on backseating, because one of the difficulties that I often run into is that if I run into a problem and I'm not given the opportunity to, like, okay, sorry, let me attack it from the other way around. I will very often play games in unusual or maybe not even necessarily very efficient ways. But the process of internalizing that and sort of learning at my own pace often gives me a certain perspective that, at least for me, I find helpful in terms of... I'm just going to turn the turret on because we're about to... Well, actually, you know what? Call to arms is easy. We're about to have the rebels show up, so... but yeah, to me, it's just one of these things where if I've solved the problem for myself, I'm sort of able to explain the chain of reasoning that brought me to it, and I tend to find... For me, it's very fun to play games that way. And one of the reasons why I try and guard that part of my play experience so carefully is I kind of think about my reaction to a game like Hearts of Iron 4. I would really, really like to get into Hearts of Iron 4. And right now my experience of it has largely been spending... I usually start in 1939, and I've played as Japan, and I've played as Canada, and I've played as France. I've definitely done a few different starts. And one of the difficulties that I run into is that it's not entirely clear to me what sort of benchmarks I should be holding for myself in terms of the number of units that I should have, or the types of, you know, materials that I should be building. And while I like trying to figure that stuff out, what's happened for me probably the last 4 or 5 games is that I'll spend several years of game time building up, only to find out that I'm completely unprepared for the enemy, and they just kind of roll over me, and that's it. Like, there's no hope. So you know, the thing is that there's no shortage of Hearts of Iron 4 guides out there. And those guides will tell me, you know, you want to build this template, you want to put them in this region.
I hate to distract you from the all-important work of subjugating your citizens, but I've come to end your reign of terror.
But yeah, the challenge is that while those guides are actually quite good at putting me in a position to beat the game, I don't necessarily have any better understanding of how some of these things work. And so, as a consequence, I've still had difficulty kind of getting into Hearts of Iron as a result. I think it's a very interesting game. I'd really like to get into it more, but I just sort of realize my limitations in terms of my understanding of the game. I'm going to try and draw them away from my infrastructure if I can. Okay, nice. Which one is this? The Risen Hyena. Oh, interesting, Wolfenstein. I never really thought there'd be that much taste for me streaming that, but that's good. That's good feedback. I'll see if I can work it in at some point. I definitely think Stellaris is kind of my big one. I would have loved to have done Crusader Kings 3, but no key. So we'll just let these two fight it out. I'll have a bit of a repair bill, but can we start? Yeah, we can start repairing that battery. I am gonna wait till the end of the workday just to make sure that we have enough cash to pay the employees, but I'm gonna start sort of filling out all of the available slots. Also, let's get that last residential down. So in this case, I have to use the tier 3 just because I don't have any other isotopes. That's one reason why this mine is so precious. Having a little trouble there, guys? How did this run away from us so quickly? Maybe it's because I didn't have my second weapon firing? At this point, I'm just terrified that I'm going to lose one of my workers. Ooh. Okay, this thing should go up in a second. Protect maybe.
This isn't the last you'll see of me. You're just delaying your inevitable defeat.
Maybe because I have a different puzzle building, but I always think, oh, thank you, Wolfenstein. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's all perspective stuff. It's one of the reasons why I really do value, like, especially when I see other, like, you'll notice when I host someone playing the game, if they outright say, like, I don't understand why ... I'll offer to help, but I do actually really like seeing people approach this game their own way, because there's always something to learn about a game that you enjoy. It's one of the things that I find so satisfying about playing games like this, is the ability to see different approaches and sort of see if there's maybe a way that I can sort of refine a few different things that I work on. And again, if you're able, I'm trying to remember the exact quote that's in Schopenhauer in an essay called "On Thinking for Oneself," and I think I actually think the quote is originally from Goethe, but it's something along the lines of, you know, you have to, it's like you have to earn, like earn the inheritance from sort of the thinkers before you. Again, he puts it in so much of a better way, but yeah, it's a I don't know, like it's definitely a style of gaming that I really like, in terms of just being able to sort of puzzle it out and make that playthrough my own. And you know, I own the failures as much as the successes, and so it's you know, it's just it's the way that I really like engaging with the game. Okay, so we still have some cash left over, but not enough to buy a mine, so let's just buy some trucks instead. And we did get the obsidian ruins that I needed. Oh, did I? Yeah, I messed up. I'm gonna have to dismantle that office. I want another residential, not another office. But I am gonna get these ruins down just in prep for the... I was wondering why the employee number was so low. I do need to get some more artifacts before too long. Let's do the HQ so that I can get access to the research efficiency. Okay, where are we next? Okay, here we go. The big question for me is whether or not I demolish the work from home or not. Because the pollution's only going to get worse from this smokestack moving on. In fact, we can probably afford to make that a tier 3. I think I'm going to bite the bullet and convert this into artifacts. The big thing right now is that we just let a wave go by and we're not any closer to taking out rebel bases. So that is something that I want to keep a closer eye on. For some reason I can't do math. We're 2 credits behind, so got 16 seconds. Let's just pause for a second. I can Yeah, minerals. They're not getting their hands on my artifacts. Oh, well, I didn't have the living space anyway. Fair enough. We should be evenly matched for... Yeah. So we'll combine the energy plant. We don't really need it right now, but it gives me more options. I do at some point want to build another shipyard. That mining operation kind of needed to be up sooner than it was, but yeah, Wolfenstein, you were asking a little bit about upgrading before. So a good example of this is that technically this higher smokestack is not really important at the moment. But again, I have this direct line from work to the smokestack. I have a surplus of isotopes, which I'm not really using right now. I do have this larger goal of sort of freeing up the space on this part of the factory, so the faster I am able to convert, the better. In fact, one thing that I can do potentially is, because I'm not processing any isotopes right now, I can probably just turn off this this line. So that'll get me 3 extra workers. And so, you know, I've slowly been building towards a more effective waste removal system. One thing I'm going to need to be doing is earning some more influence. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have enough range to be able to get this ruin monument. So there's a side of me that wants to build another command center, but you know, the question is, well, do I want to do this right now? Maybe I should be focusing more on this mining operation instead. I think once the mine is up, I'll take an early hit just to get this monument, because then I can, you know, take down all of the ruins and feel a little bit better about that. In the meantime, though, I can get that other energy plant up. So the reason I'm building this energy plant is more, I've got the fuel for it, and I'm not going to have to pay for an extra worker, so I can combine them. I can even do the upgrades, but the upgrades will cost isotopes, which right now I have sort of a fixed quantity of. So I'm going to leave that, I'll leave that be for now. But I don't mind, I don't mind trying to clear out. Actually, I guess one thing I should look at, storage is always nice. Yeah, we've been doing pretty poorly as far as energy storage, so we'll grab one of those. I might as well grab the relay too. Why am I spending on trucks? Well, mostly just so one, I have the available cash. So one mistake that I made before was I was going to get hit by not paying my workers anyway, so it would have been better for me to just have those trucks built up. I am eventually going to have a mining operation, and I'm going to build a factory in this area as well, close to this area. And so that's going to involve moving things. Like, I'm going to have a much bigger transport network. And the other thing is that just generally I would like to have it so that if something needs to be moved, it can be moved immediately. Obviously, this is a little extreme. Like, I clearly do not need 4 trucks to, you know, to handle my waste needs. But we are going to be expanding this this road. Also, it's worth saying that like anything goes as far as dismantling stuff in this setup. One of the purposes behind the ruins is actually to sort of create some variety in terms of how the cities are laid out. They're kind of obstacles. And I think they do a very good job of it. Like, I'm definitely reconsidering how I'm building certain areas in response to the ruins. So I should say, I think one of the purposes of the ruins. They might have even said that on the stream, but that's definitely what I'm feeling. I feel like I should make the distinction because Brace Yourself hangs out enough that I'm worried that it makes it sound like that's come from a developer as opposed to it being an impression. So I think I could actually get rid of this pylon. I don't need to, but it gets me those isotopes back, so might as well. Now, speaking of might as well, we're gonna take out these ruins as well. Well, when we can. And before too long, I do want to get a conversion center up, but it'd be nice if I know what my road network looks like before I invest too heavily in that. I might as well shut down the rest of it. Save me a little energy. It's kind of neat to see the shadow of the ship move over the course of the day. I think it happens to everything, but... But yeah, I need at least one more day to be able to buy the the mine. I'm also going to need to clear out a whole lot of space for another shipyard. Although this is looking kind of tempting. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Overall, though, like the rate at which I'm earning credits are it's pretty anemic. So I'm going to I definitely want to make sure that I've handled these before I go too far out. What victory conditions are you expecting for the next patch? I haven't really put too much thought into it, to be honest, Wolfenstein. I suppose probably the most obvious ones to me would be ones sort of based on, like, so if I just think of like other games and what sort of seems to be, I'm assuming that there are like certain milestones. So, you know, if you can give the council a certain number of, you know, of artifacts, or if you can build a certain type of monument and defend it, you know, those types of victory conditions seem to be like the sort of thing that just gets done in, you know, in certain types of games. But the thing is that, you know, I've almost kind of learned not to expect stuff like this, because very often I find that this game tends to just go in a more interesting place. So for instance, the tech tree, Sid Meier, I'd read in his biography that he, or his memoirs. If you've not read it, by the way, I really enjoyed it. But apparently the tech tree in Civilization was originally designed to be random. And they ultimately abandoned it because you have but basically players like want to hit a certain milestone, and it's not necessarily the case that they want gunpowder to be. I can't believe I had that alarm going the whole time. Basically randomizing the tech tree was inconsistent with what players were expecting when playing the game, and as a result it became an annoyance as opposed to it being something interesting, which is what the intention was. In the case of, this is a sort of thing, right? If you play most games, there may be variations on the tree. If you play something like Age of Wonders Planetfall, you will have sort of two tracks. So you have sort of civilian technologies and military technologies. There will be a lot of refinements on the tree style, but generally you don't see a lot of games like this that that move away from a fixed tree. Even in the case of Civilization 6, the randomized tree is a special mode. And in the case of Industries of Titan, obviously they went for a really interesting tech system. I quite like the way that they've done this. So if it's not maybe clear, or if you're new to the game, so I'll actually show. So you start in the central node, and as you start unlocking certain techs, you get to see more and more of the web, and that's going to determine. So you spend an artifact to unlock a certain path, and then you spend time to get a particular technology. And I talked about it when it first came in. There are some things I like about it, being that it's the process of research that kind of leads you to go through the map. And it is a little bit of a maze, so you're left with these interesting decisions of saying, is like, okay, well, what is it? In the good books, max influence cap plus 20, unlocks the ship device to improve the structural integrity. This is the reinforcement pillar. Resource patch harvesting rate plus 10%. There's a few that I might want, and there's a few that I may not want. So, a boost to the influence cap sounds really good. Do I want the reinforcement pillar? Well, maybe not, but I'm going to have to go through it to get it right now. Alternatively, I could spend the one artifact, I could unlock the Corvus, and I can take my chances with whatever I find on the side here. I don't think it shows the type that it is. And in this case here, I can't really think of another game that's done something like this. And there are justifications, there are reasons as to why this might make sense as opposed to Civilization. But the big thing here is that I am not a game designer, so I don't necessarily think about these experiences, in relation to the games that have come before. Except for the fact that obviously as a player of these games, I'm going to have certain expectations in terms of what happens in a game and what my options are. And in the case of the tech tree, I mean, the only real gripes I have with it are things that are already going to be addressed. So it'd be nice if there was some kind of indication that you've completed your research. We know that's coming, so that's going to be. I don't know if that comes in the next patch or not, but that's definitely something that's going to be added. And then what was the other one? Maybe that is the only gripe that I have with it. I know they're making another change, so I think there are some people who dislike the idea that you have to go through certain nodes. So it's like maybe you really don't want to play with the Gatling gun. It's like, okay, fair enough. So what you can do is, I believe you can. I think the plan is you can like blow up a node, and you can it'll basically give you locations sort of in the surrounding area. So, I mean, all of this is just a really long way of answering your question, what conditions do I expect to be in the game? Honestly, I don't know. And I've kind of, I think Brace Yourself has a track record that makes me think that any guess that I have is probably going to be less imaginative than what will actually be in the game. Although it's fun to speculate. Obviously, that's, you know, that's a game that's guessing about what's going to come into a game is always fun. Okay, so add another layer to the office, and once I have the influence, I'll clear out those ruins. We still have some energy left. It's going to be tight, but in the meantime, let's try and save my firm. So one really important thing here is that I'm going to need a lot of influence to actually be able to build this roadway. This is not going to happen overnight. I still do kind of want to claim these ruins, so I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and live without the road that I want. But for now, you know, people can carry isotopes to the factories. I guess I can open this up again too. It's funny to think if I had moved this command center just one down below, I might have been able to get that ruin monument. So I will activate this one because it'll I'll have a fuel turbine. It'll be surrounded by zethane producing tiles, but that's definitely going to take a while. Okay, so we've got some leftover cash. As far as the buildings are concerned, we've got everything. Clearly, I want to be building some stronger ships. But in the meantime, I'll just buy up the rest of the trucks. I'm not quite going to upgrade this until we've got more isotopes and what we know what to do with. But I can definitely buy the remaining two trucks. What I am going to do, if you're still around, Wolfenstein, when I wrap up, I think I've got probably another 40 minutes or so in me. I actually have some work stuff that I kind of need to wrap up, but I'll take a look at the main menu and see if we can find any hints as to what the I'll see if we can find any hints as to what the victory conditions might be based on their screenshots, because there are definitely a couple of things. Like, so actually, now that I think of it, it could be that there is a resource accumulation based. If I was reading that menu correctly, it may actually be that there's a resource accumulation based victory condition. I also have a feeling that I get the impression that there are going to be, it's not just that there's like other factions in the game, but I believe that there will be maps with like rival factions, and like, so the war bond, I believe you are going to have to pay a fee to be able to engage in combat with an enemy, unless they're rebels. I mean, as they say, they waive the fee for the rebels. But the thing is that obviously if I get too excited for something like that, which hasn't necessarily been officially announced, I'm just potentially setting myself up for disappointment if that feature gets cut for any reason. You know, I actually don't know how long the development is planned for this game. I also don't know if it's meaningful to sort of assign a particular deadline to this sort of thing, because, you know, what's the real consequence? Like, they don't need to print discs for this thing, right? So various menus with stars. Yeah, so I would guess that that's probably probably related. Okay, I'm gonna need another 10 to... So yes, I do have the relay, but unfortunately it's 1 too short for this mine, so... That's fine, though. It gets me another artifact. I forgot my HQ range went out, so... Well, I guess we could move the smokestack 1 unit back if we really wanted. So, I mean, technically we can build the mine right now. But it'd be nice to, like, kind of stick it over here. Okay, so connect these up. Mad King Brutos, thank you very much for the resub. How you doing? I am ashamed to admit that I have yet to play Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Imagine being stuck at work all the time and sleeping the rest of the days away, because I wish that was me and not just being lazy. Aww. It's really good to see you again. I mean, not that it's been all that long since you last stopped by, but it's always good. Yeah, I got a really nice email from someone, so I kind of reached out to someone who I really admire, and I kind of just admitted to that. Like, I obviously can talk about what I said, but I don't necessarily want to, go in too much detail in terms of what they say. I don't know. It's the thing about, like, private correspondence, right? You don't want to necessarily say, oh, did you hear what so-and-so said in this email? But, like, one of the things that I feel a bit conscious about is, I mean, like, it's no secret that I've not been crazy about, it's no secret that I've been not been crazy about my work situation. And given that there is this Ubisoft offer on the table now, I need to consider the possibility. It's like, well, right now, for whatever, whatever defects my current work has, having a job that is really dull or is underutilizing me, or however I want to put it, obviously, if I had more of an entrepreneurial bent, that would not necessarily be a bad thing, right? Because that sort of affords me enough sort of extra time to be able to pursue some of these side projects. And I think one of the drawbacks is that a tendency I've realized in myself over the time that I've been working is that, like, there's definitely been a bit more of a tendency to just say, it's like, well, what's the point, right? Like, definitely for work stuff is like, well, I would have done it this way, but, you know, nobody seems to care, and I, you know, am getting really tired of hearing someone, like, look at this, you know, extra thing that I've done and said, oh, this looks weird, you know, get rid of that. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll follow the letter of the instructions and not move on. Problem is that that's kind of crept into some of my, I feel at least that's kind of crept into some of my other, like, independent work. And I really don't like that, because I got quite a bit of satisfaction at, like, finishing projects. It's nice to finish a project and be like, yeah, I did this, and I feel awesome because I did it. One thing that the person I talked to pointed out was a sort of feeling of Protestant work ethic and the negative side of that, and that was definitely true. They actually did a pretty good diagnosis of maybe another factor in what I was feeling, and kind of the loathing that comes from that sort of a feeling. But essentially, what it kind of came down to, and it, you know, obviously there's some business owners in chat, but it was kind of just the idea here of, it's like, you know, you've talked a little bit about what drives you to do your stuff. And it's, you know, were you born that way, or did you have to work on it, and so on and so forth. And of course, it's such a hilariously naive question, because very rarely is the answer why, yes, I was born with this tremendous ability to do X, you know. I have always been able to do this my entire life, and I did it perfectly every single time. Very rarely is that ever the answer for anything. But they gave an incredibly thoughtful and very encouraging answer. But for what it's worth, Mad King Brutos, I've been kind of feeling a little bit like what your comment says. I don't know. I've got one really interesting games data project, which I'm sort of behind on. Like, I wanted to have that done before I went to Vancouver, and then I learned a little bit more about it, so I wanted to refactor a little bit of what I was doing. Sounds like you're born perfect. Am I streaming next Friday? Yes. So tomorrow is a sort of holiday in Canada. Not all businesses actually use it as a day off, but at least for me, I get tomorrow off. It's Remembrance Day, so. Night Valiant, how you doing? I'm probably gonna wind up catching up on some, like, work. And then Friday, I'm going to. Yes, I will be streaming November the 18th. Wait, November 18th. Oh, sorry. So the Friday after next. Yes, I will also be streaming Friday after next. But yeah, so 2 days from now I will be streaming, and then for me the Friday is actually the 19th. But I don't see any reason why I would be missing that. Let me just double check that there isn't some crazy holiday that I'm missing. Yeah, no, I should be fine. Sadly, it all went down quickly after that. Yeah, anyways. Snowball 1717th of their name. How you doing? I'm doing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. That's news to me. I've been doing Boyfriend Dungeon lately. For those of you who don't know him... Oh, you turned 25. Okay, well, I mean... Okay, let me put it to you this way, Mad King Brutos. I don't want to make any promises, because there's so many ways that can go wrong for me. But first of all, happy pre-birthday, and if you want me to stream Mass Effect Legendary Edition for your birthday, let me see what I can do. The only drawback to it is I probably won't finish that playthrough for a while, because there's other stuff that I'm going to be doing on the Friday streams. But yeah, let me give it my best shot, and I will, barring I don't like. Okay, I don't want to come up with like a list of. I mean, the last thing you need for your birthday is a list of excuses. There is a small subset of things that would keep me from doing it, and I am going to do what I can to mitigate or otherwise deal with those things. Oh, that's wild! I didn't know that, Night Valiant. Anyway, sorry. I see Snowball. How am I doing? I'll get to that in a second. I did just want to take a quick second and say hello to Night Valian, and to take a chance to remind you all that he is a soft-voiced Brazilian streamer who I'm sure a number of you will like, particularly those of you who watch the broadcast and wonder why I'm signing off right around the time that you're ready to start watching. Nivalian does a lot of indie games. I actually found him playing Kid Fox Games' Lucifer Within Us. He does quite a few indies, and he actually also does a lot of Game Pass games as well. So I've actually found a lot of rather good games through his channel. But he has been growing. He's not really new to streaming anymore, but he's definitely been very consistent with it. As far as I can tell, unless there's been an internet connection problem, you've basically been streaming every day. It feels like it anyway. But he's definitely a good fellow. And yeah, as far as how I'm doing, I'm sorry, I can probably answer how I'm doing a lot shorter. I actually started off feeling pretty crummy today. You know, there's just a bunch of like life stuff that got in the way. But I've really been enjoying Industries of Titan. I always like Industries of Titan, so playing a good game is sometimes enough for bringing in a good mood. There's also been a lot of really nice people coming in. So some streamer friends of mine, so Miss Ariella and her mod Olaf, T. Harry.
For lack of a better word, is good.
Man, it has been
I wonder if system takes bribes.
It has been a long time since I've seen that donation alert. Thank you so much, Mad Kid Brutos. Yeah, no, I'm totally geared up towards doing that for you. The only catch is, again, I may not get very far, but yeah, we'll. That donation was unnecessary, but I'm happy to take your money nonetheless. But yeah, anyways, lots of good people, and now money. But no, a lot of really nice people and some, you know, good interactions. Just overall, it's been a really nice stream to just sort of relax and take my mind off things. So it's I definitely couldn't ask for more. You know, funny thing is that there was a while where, so I'm just kind of waiting for the plan to come together. I need to slowly get these ruins taken out. I will eventually build a conversion center, but we're not quite there yet. Oh, but I can get rid of some receptacles right around the time that I'm not gonna need this. Oh, hang on, we're not refining. Oh, that's right, we were refining the tier 2s. How many of those do we have? Not enough. Put it towards a coffee. I might. It's not the best thing to do. Like it's late. But given that there's a bunch of work stuff that I was going to do tomorrow, I wonder if I just abuse myself and go out, get a coffee, and like just work tonight. If I can just enjoy tomorrow. I'll see. It's a little cold out, but the walk will do me good. Anyways, So what are we working towards? We've got, we've expanded the population, so we're earning 8,000 credits a day once we factor in the earnings. Now again, the smokestack does have a cost. Like all of the death is happening because we've got some people in the, we got some people in the Kodiak Samurai. My God, man. Oh wait, oh, it's Index. My apologies, Index Gnome. Thank you very much for gifting that sub to Kodiak Samurai, who I actually, I always like referring in. I always kind of describe in reference to a streamer who I very much enjoy watching, Tuesday Gray. Kodiak was responsible for kind of putting her on my radar. And she had tremendous success on Twitch as a platform. Again, internet issues are sort of kind of getting in the way of more broadcasts, but a very deserving recipient. So thank you very much for that. Now I have to get the coffee. But yeah. Right now, again, we're mining out the isotopes. It's not great that it's a bunch of individual. You're all ridiculous. Thank you so much, Olaf. Olaf in particular, I know, has been a massive... I mean, first of all, you've been tremendous in your support of me, but Olaf, I know, is actually somebody who's been responsible for a lot of support for streamers who I really value and I get a lot out of watching. So I also kind of know... I know it's been given up, so thank you very much. Ah! Why? Why you need to make me see that menu again? I'll change it, I promise. All right. Thank you very much, Index Gnome, for gifting that sub to VKR1974. And, all right, it looks like Miss Ariella has gifted... gifted one to Salvage Drifter, who actually, I believe, found us on Monday's... Monday's Stellaris stream, so I'm not sure if they're watching right now or if we've just hit that point where there's no more live, or there's no more people kind of watching the stream to get it. But either way, thank you. You are being ridiculous with your generosity, everybody. So thank you so much. I believe this is the first hype train ever on this stream, so please don't get used to them. But you are all impossibly generous. Thank you very much for that. And Mad King Brutus, why? All right, thank you for the bits. This is no longer going to be about Industries of Titan. This is going to be about the fact that I really don't know how to deal with sub and bit attention. But I tremendously appreciate it. Thank you. I was talking a little bit before about how Jesus Christ. How many is that? You take it and you like it, sir. All right, I'm gonna let the alerts run by, and then you people are insane. But thank you so much. I'm actually... So I am honestly delighted by some of the names that I'm seeing here. So, you know, Ascanius, Shifty Duvet, Curiosity. There's a lot of people who I'm really happy are seeing some subs here. So thank you for that. So, Miss Ariella, thank you for the... I'll try and just talk about it. Miss Ariella gave one to Alpha Chimera, Index Gnome, going ham as an MFer, gifting 5 to Tiberiosity, Shifty Duvet, Ishma. Oh god, are there more? There's a whole lot of stuff happening on my screen right now, and I can't see. JJ's and Ascanius. Lots of... By the way, I love it when you all use the emotes. Oh god, how many... What's going on? Sorry, I've actually lost track. Okay, so... Sorry, this says make it to level 5 team. I think you were responsible for that, so thank you. Miss Ariella gifted one to Aperture Science, 42nd of their name. Oh, hey, Olaf gave one. Packy Perfect got one. And Macaroni. Oh god. I don't want to out them for who they are, but I'm really happy that those two got those ones. So Olaf, I think I'm catching up now. You shall not talk. Hype Train 5, Panic, Hype Train Baby, and thank you everyone. So for those of you who just got some emotes, please keep in mind, I'll try and remember the ones that are not behind the wall. You know what? I'll just put them all in. If you can't use one of the ones that I put up, just use the bits. But these are the emotes available to you. I am incredibly happy with them. I really like them. I love it when I see so many of them in chat, which you are all doing right now. And I was obviously talking about like doing hardware upgrades for the broadcast. Oh no, I'm delighted. I'm delighted by it. I suppose I should make Raiders of the Lost Ark the raid alert, but the raid alert never seems to pop up. Thank you so much, Olaf, for gifting that to Uncle Cranky. I know he'll really appreciate it. And yeah, the one thing I will say, like, you know, this is definitely going to help out with the upgrades to the computer. Like I said, every once in a while I cash out the Twitch money, and pretty much it's always goes back into the broadcast. But it'd be a little indecent to like just take those, you know, count those numbers and like count the Twitch revenues off of that right away. But it's definitely come at a time where I am looking to boost up the computer. So the fact that I don't need to go too far out of pocket on that is really appreciated. Thank you, and thank you for making my first hype train a very special experience. I think we're at equilibrium. So now I can start focusing on the game again. Okay, let's see what hull we can buy. Oh! I guess it won't let me buy a new hull. Okay, so what we're... Why? So we got Hebe Honey, Walls to the Ball, Loki Soul, Z Fighter, and Irrepressible 32 Tau. Olaf T. Harry being very kind and gifting a sub to the Eyes of Sin, who's actually responsible for the emotes that I like so much. So I believe it says 140% hype train. I'm sure my Alice Salvage Drift, I wasn't sure if you were around, but thank you so much for stopping by. Yes, that is Miss Ariella who sent that along, and I'm trying to weather the storm. I hope Spielberg doesn't like come and crush me for for using this. We could sub-only chat and still chat. Oh my god. Oh, is that what the emote for level 5 is? My god, you people are absolutely nuts. Thank you so much for that. That was ridiculous. 18 subs, 500 bits. And obviously, you know, I'm first of all incredibly happy. I'm incredibly happy for those of you who got the subs. I hope you enjoy them. I know, you know, there's a couple of channels where I've gotten some gifted subs, and you know, I really love just being able to like use those emotes, be able to sort of show, you know, wave the flag, show the support. Please, if you did get one and you've not said thank you already, please do, you know, just offer a quick thank you to the person who sent that along. But again, for me, you know, to all of you, thank you very much. Like I said, that was my first hype train. I did not quite realize exactly what those things are like, and you all definitely made that a. Are you all? And again, you all made that definitely a very unique and special experience. So, thank you. I really don't know what to say other than thank you. And Kiel says, "Is it just me, or does that music sound like the beginning of One Winged Angel?" I don't think I've seen that, but now I'm curious. I guess when I'm not listening to 1 hour of Eastern Orthodox chanting, I will now look for that music. Did I forget to? Okay, let's do our truck speed. The rebels have since crept up to 50 under the cover of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The rebels have now crept up to 50%. So I'm gonna just start building a road. Actually, I guess I didn't need to build the road there. Well, no, we can still do. Yeah, this will still work. Could actually really extend it out like this. Yeah, I don't know though. Something like this should be fine. We'll just build the fan. Seems awfully quiet here now. So yeah, actually, I should probably work this out, because if I'm going to take out these obsidian ruins to build a new shipyard, I shouldn't build a road here. But if I build the road too close, then I wind up, you know, I wind up bringing pollution a little bit too close to the residential. They have to live on noodles for the rest of my Index Gnome. If you need some of that back, I don't know how I'll work it out, but yeah, I think you are number. You were number 1. Jesus Christ, dude, 12? Wait a minute, why isn't Olaf on this list? I feel like Olaf should also be on the top 3. Or maybe it's because they gifted it to specific individuals? I'm sorry, I'm really bad at keeping track on that stuff. But yeah, folks, again, I'll have the always hidden Viking. Yeah, like I said, so I mean, it's obvious to me how I'm kind of just waiting for some of this stuff to be realized, but I do just want to take a second and say, like, as the broadcaster, I clearly benefit from the revenue that comes from donations like that, but just as somebody who actually really enjoys certain channels, and like, I'm never crazy about how Twitch tries and sets things up to just sort of like extract a lot of money from people, and whether it's like a broadcast or you know, a viewer on a particular broadcast. So I try to be, you know, I try to be as supportive as I can on given channels, but I also, you know, try and find my balance in terms of, like, I try not to be like tight-fisted, but I also, you know, I have like my budget basically. So for me at least, like when I get those gift subs, those are really special to me because sometimes it means that I'm able, like I said, I'm able to engage with some chats in a way that I don't always get a chance to. And so, you know, just kind of from my own experience of those, and hoping that maybe there are a few people who feel likewise, you know, again, it's always kind of tough to talk about your own channel this way, but I certainly hope, and I'd like to believe that you've given that feeling to a number of people here tonight. So thank you again for that. Love the Boyfriend Dungeon play. Oh, that's great, Jay Precious. You know, the funny thing is that I never considered stopping Boyfriend Dungeon, and we're still continuing on with it. So we'll be coming back to that on Friday, actually, but not the Friday following, apparently. But when I took a look at the YouTube metrics for that was actually, so every once in a while I'll see some dislikes on my more modern videos. I am actually one of those people. So for those of you who don't know, YouTube has actually now made the dislike number hidden, and it's because they noticed a phenomena for small broadcasters where seeing a video with a very large number of dislikes encouraged people to pile on. I can tell you from experience, I am one of those videos, and it's not a broadcast I'm particularly proud of. Like, I had a plan for it, and then I was late to the broadcast. I couldn't prepare the way that I wanted, and I really stumbled over my introduction. But it's led to this, like, this kind of ball of hate. Like, it's kind of rolled down the hill, and it's one of my best performing videos, but it always keeps attracting just this really negative audience. It's actually one of the few videos where I will delete some of the comments because of the level of abuse. Some of the ones are just like mean, like they're mean-spirited, but they're not like overly bad. So I those ones I'm fair enough kind of keeping up. But Boyfriend Dungeon was actually one of the rare videos to actually inspire a dislike that wasn't that video. And just overall, the numbers were actually quite low. So I was sort of like, well, that's a shame, because I actually think that's a really good game, and I enjoy playing it. So it's a game that I sort of have played despite the reaction to it. And so I'm actually particularly delighted when... Well, not when, I mean, you were the first, but I'm actually really happy that you like that playthrough, because it's one that I like, but I was sort of the feeling that maybe that had not found its audience. So I really appreciate that. You know, again, it's hard not to appreciate hearing someone say they like your stuff, but Boyfriend Dungeon in particular was actually one where I was kind of doubting my decision to play that, and I'm happy that someone's connected with it. Yeah, you know, you're in your own business, you know. You just cut the pay of some poor employee. You just gotta buy the trucks. Yeah, so I mentioned this video, and like somebody went out and looked for it, and they're like, oh, the comments aren't that bad. And I'm like, yeah, it's like because I've already cleaned it. The thing is like, so there was definitely a while that those kinds of comments, they didn't get to me because I thought the comments were like, they didn't like cause me to doubt myself in terms of my ability as a broadcaster or whatever. But I do sometimes get a bit bothered by just the concept of someone who's a total stranger, like going out of their way to sort of make me feel bad. Like, I can't really imagine doing that. It's actually one of the reasons why I don't like the concept of like the main character on Twitter. I've always sort of felt like, even for someone who's done something like really bad or something that I really disagree with, like, let's take Harvey Weinstein as an example, right? I genuinely don't remember if I've done this in the past. I probably suspect I very likely have on at least one form of social media. But at least my thinking of it right now is like, even for a figure like Harvey Weinstein, like the only purpose for like me sending out a tweet to someone like that, not that they like read their own tweets, but like the only reason for me to do that would be to put on a show for someone else or to make me feel good. And that kind of comes at the expense of this other person. And so in that spirit, it's like, well, that's probably an activity I shouldn't be participating in because that's not good for me. I am effectively participating in a mob. However, righteous or justified it may be. And, if I think it's going to bring about some good, maybe I should be willing to take a certain action, but that's obviously not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it so that I can, I can take part in the, in the current, movement or whatever. So, because I have that temperament, and again, that's not a comment on how anybody else participates in that. Like, it's really not my place to tell people how they should be engaging with controversial figures. But because I have that temperament, and because, when I'll have a video and it's like obvious that somebody just really wants to, say something unkind, I kind of think about the amount of thought that I put into something like that. I'm like, wow, this person like took some time out of their day to want to make me feel bad. I kind of feel bad about that. It's like, it's not what they said. It's just the mere idea that they do that. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm also just kind of waiting to get the influence to build this up. So yeah, there is a derail. We've derailed the hype train. But there is a plan behind this. I'm also just trying to like extend the time a little bit because you did all just do a really nice hype train so close to the time I would normally be finishing that I want to try and get some extra time in before I go out and get my coffee with all of the donations you gave. But yeah, it's it's one of these ones. It's a complicated reaction because it actually takes a lot to make me cry, mean comment wise. One thing that's really wonderful is most of the people who want to say something awful to me haven't got a clue. So a great example of this, you don't have a lot of viewers, right? A 12-hour stream, buckle up. This has never bothered me. It upsets me that people may be reacting angrily to male romance. I'm not sure if that's the cause. The mean comments are actually on a video that's totally unrelated to Boyfriend Dungeon, if that's what you're worrying about. I mean, a dislike's a dislike, right? It could just be as mild as somebody saying, it could be as mild as somebody saying, is like, you know what, I just really don't care for dating simulators. I followed you for your, Stellaris content, and that's a completely legitimate response, right? You sign up for one thing, you get another. I can't necessarily help that because I am a variety broadcaster. I have a type of game that I like, but I haven't exactly said that I'm, you know, I'm dedicated to a particular type of broadcast. But you know, again, like a dislike is a dislike. If I wanted to get rid of them, I could. The only reason I mention it is just because YouTube has actually made a change, and I can actually tell you firsthand that the thing that they are trying to prevent is a real thing that I have experienced. Yeah, so again, so this is where I was going to go. So some people have asked, it's like, well, why do you still stream Cultist Simulator? And this is the thing. If you look at the Cultist Simulator videos, universally positive comments. If you don't love me at my boyfriend dungeon, you don't deserve me at my Stellaris over-explained. You know, the worst that I get is for my explicit tutorial video, some people will complain to me about the difficulty of the game. To which I have to say, you know, I'm not responsible for it. I have no affiliation with the game other than the fact that I've been paid to broadcast it a couple of times. But one of the big reasons why I continue to broadcast that game is that there was a while where I would see from YouTube, you know, YOLO Swag 42069 has commented on your YouTube video. And again, while I'm not... Oh yeah, I didn't really talk that much about people who don't get it as far as insults are concerned. I can get back to that. But like, while the contents of any given comment... I've never really run into a comment yet that makes me like really sit down and say, oh God, I'm a failure. It's usually just, man, this person's a bit of a jerk and I feel bad that I had to deal with a jerk. It's kind of like if you're working customer service, right? Somebody who yells at you over a cup of coffee has got other things going on in their day than that cup of coffee. You know, water off a duck's back. But the fact that you have to be at work and you have to be dealing with people like that is kind of worse than the actual encounter. That's how I am anyway. So it has been a while since I've had to serve a cup of coffee though. So, and I think, as I kind of said earlier on this one, is I'm generally quite nice to service workers. Again, the one line for me is the lying thing. That's one that I find it kind of hard to keep cool on. But anyway, yeah. So like there was definitely a long period of time on. Oh, by the way, I monetized that video, so it's still one of my better performers. It still attracts a lot of hate, but what I love now is that people are paying me to drop the hate. So that was nice, and that was actually because of all of you who subbed because of Cultist Simulator. Like that was enabled, so I got the last laugh on that one, you know. But yeah, so for a while, I would look at YouTube, like I'd get an email and it'd say, you know, YOLOSwag 42069's commented on your video, and I just kind of have like a kind of a cringe reaction, and that's gone away. It is specifically because of throwing some hate. Am I doing it right? Yes, I'm gonna go back and rethink. Olaf has actually found the Achilles heel. By the way, again, for me getting derailed, notice how I am actually able to cover the ruins at the time. I'm not ignoring the game, I'm just talking over it. But yeah, I don't know. Cultist had a big role to play in me, like getting past a reflex when I would see a YouTube comment. And I haven't checked it lately, but I think that's also true for Steam. Like Steam is not exactly known for the quality of its forums, and yet Cultist Simulator for a while at least was a really, really helpful environment. Like, you know, you could definitely imagine this being a game which would attract a lot of lol, this game is for smart people type comments. But people really do seem to be quite even people who are kind of like, this game sucks because it's hard, People actually seem to be really patient with that. And, like, you wouldn't expect it, because... Oh, damn it. I was building with Mineral 2. See, with all these bits lying around, I'm gonna step on one, and it's gonna make me make me fall over something. Sorry, I'm still reeling. But yeah, insults that miss the mark. These are actually totally my favorite. So, like, you know, the example that I gave, you know, lol, you don't have any viewers or whatever. There's actually a guy on Industries of Titan who left a comment on my review, and they really didn't like the fact that my playtime was quite small. And it's because I still primarily play on the Epic branch. Or not brand, but the Epic versions, the one that Brace Yourself originally gave me. And, you know, I pointed out, I said, is like, well, you know, and they'd said something about, like, I can't remember exactly what they'd said, but it was basically something around the there's no evidence that you've played this game or whatever. And I said, like, well, obviously you haven't looked, because, and I think I calculated the exact number of hours that I'd streamed it. Is like, you know, if you were to do the most cursory Google search, you would in fact see that I have, you know, this many hours in this game, and that's a matter of public record. And then they kind of got abusive on the game, and essentially it was an unedifying exchange. So I did what I normally do in that situation, which is to delete the comments. Because as far as I'm concerned, you know, you can write what you want in the forums. You know, Brace Yourself has a community management team, and I would rather them not have to deal with it, but, you know, that's an area they control. I had the option to turn on comments, and I'm not going to have my review become an opportunity for somebody to bash Industries of Titan. I like the game, my review is positive, and if they're just going to say stuff that's not true about the game or not productive, you know, it's my review. I'm allowed to cut the comment. This guy did not like that at all, to put it mildly. So they actually followed me. So they definitely looked for me on YouTube. I mean, I encourage that, so that's, you know, that's fair play on that, I suppose. But yeah, like they quite literally hounded me on Steam. They're claiming censorship when I kept deleting their comments. And again, they did the whole like, you don't have a lot of viewers, you suck, blah blah blah. And the thing that was really funny is that, like, it wasn't that long ago from the it wasn't that long from one of those Steam streams where like a few thousand people show up. And again, I really don't like playing that card, right? Because it's falling into the trap. Like, the trap is to accept the premise that the value of a broadcast is based on the number of concurrent viewers or the number of subscribers or something like that. And it's not. Like, if you are going to evaluate yourself by that standard, that path leads to madness. So the better path, of course, is to just not acknowledge that as a valid benchmark and focus on doing what you can. But I really do love it. Or, like, you know, if somebody makes fun of my physical appearance or something like that. I've got a beard now, which I think looks horrible, but people have actually been really nice about. But if somebody's like, you look like a hobo, like, I'm not going to disagree with them. I probably have the same assessment. But those ones are actually my favorite because it really means that the person you are interacting with has just fundamentally misunderstood the nature of the engagement. And at that point, like, that's basically a confession that they have no power over you. It's actually one of my favorites. So yeah, one of the ways that actually makes me feel better, one of the ways you can make me feel better, is if you tell me I don't have a lot of viewers out of spite, which is a really weird reaction, but that's the best way I could put it. Now I have a feeling I just messed up. No, I think I got it right. Okay. So we need 40 influence, and then we'll be able to clear out the obsidian ruins and get another shipyard up. So we've got our path to the mine. I do eventually want to get a factory down, and I would also like to get a storage facility. But the big thing here is just to try and get a steady flow of isotopes to the factory, which we now have. More importantly, it's all built out of Minerals 3. Anyway, sorry to make that so much about YouTube, but I didn't want to talk about like negative stuff and then, I don't know, give the impression that I'm like feeling really bad about it. I just got back. Was someone mad about Boyfriend Dungeon? They should try Dream Daddy. That will help. You know, Boyfriend Dungeon, actually, the idea and the development for that was before Dream Daddy. But I know, obviously one came out earlier than the other one. I've not played Dream Daddy. And the thing is that, like, I don't want to, again, I don't want to make it see, all that I know about the Boyfriend Dungeon thing is that, for one reason or another, unlike other videos that I have done, Boyfriend Dungeon provoked one of the rare dislikes for a standard stream video I do. I sometimes get them. They're not a big deal. But all that I was trying to communicate with that was that based on a lower viewership number for the Boyfriend Dungeon videos, and the fact that it was one of those rare cases where I'd actually seen someone kind of go out of their way to dislike that video, which doesn't always happen for some of the other ones, I was just very pleasantly surprised that someone highlighted that as something that they liked that I did, because it hasn't always been the case that's been a particularly popular video. That's all I was saying by it. I really don't want to give the impression that like there was some kind of hate because of Boyfriend Dungeon. It's just that it was one that I was maybe a little surprised was less popular than I thought it was going to be. Your dodge is non-existent, so you can just roll for damage. Yeah, I've never stepped on a four-sided die, but I don't have to imagine what the experience is like. Sorry, I'm catching up a little bit with chat, so. Yeah, my apologies if I gave that impression, because that's, Boyfriend Dungeon is a wonderful game, and like I said, I have absolutely no regrets streaming it. I'm happy that I'm continuing to stream it. But it was something that sort of gave me kind of a cause for some doubt, just simply because it was one that I was enjoying, but I didn't necessarily have any evidence that it was the sort of thing that that my audience was necessarily into. Oh yeah, it's wonderful, Jim the Eternal. I know we have overlap in terms of the types of games that we play, but it's not a perfect mapping. But I don't know, if you ever played Moon Hunters, you'll be in familiar territory for sure. Obviously, if you haven't played Moon Hunters, that doesn't mean anything. I do need to get waste storage down for the residential areas. I may just eliminate work from home and set up. Well, workers are still sort of cleaning it. I don't know. There's something about bulldozing work from home and just setting up a fan. Or an air purifier here. If I'd move these like one down, I wouldn't have this problem. Okay. Oh yeah, I also need to research the fan. I don't have any of that tech yet, so I'm hooped. But yeah. Anyways, big recommend for Boyfriend Dungeon. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna accept that pollution is a part of life. Well, no, hang on. There's smart ways that I can go about this. So offices don't generate waste. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, we can definitely donate credits. It's going to bring us closer to our obsidian ruin goal. How are we doing on tier 1 minerals? We're okay, but we're going to need to find a new source soon. Again, like, we can grab whatever we want from the ruins, but I have some specific plans for these ruins just in terms of where I want to place things and where I want to extract. So yeah, we'll speed things up for a little bit. I also want to find a spot where I can put a big conversion center. Ideally, it'll be hooked up to roads. I'm going to resist the urge to kill this one for now. So factory here, storage facility here. So it's a bit of a winding path, but it'll work. And then I think I'll probably actually wind up putting the mine for the mineral node here. I mean, there's still going to be a pretty significant amount of pollution. We can get an idea of what that looks like over here. But that just gives me something to focus on for the research, I suppose. So speaking of, we got the influence cap. We've got ticket generation, fuel silo. Ooh, that's tempting. Resource patch harvesting rate. Well, it's a patch, not a node, so... I really do want to try the Gatling gun, so let's go research that. I do also want to get the energy plant production, so... Oh, employee caffeine hits, is good. Energy depot will be good eventually. There's a lot of stuff. So I'll unlock the paths to things that I know I want to research at some point. I suppose it doesn't matter which one I follow through on. Trade tickets would be nice. Oh, man. So yeah, no idea where I'm going to get the protection from the pollution from, but all right. Big milestone there. So, I do eventually want to, well, you know, like, we can at least get the basics for the road down. I can redesign the city later when I have a better idea of pollution and such. Right now, though, I'd really love to try and try and get an early attack on one of their bases. We're laughing as far as resources are concerned. It's gonna hurt the pocketbook. I should probably start mining out these patches too, because they're gonna get in the way of the roads. But right now I just need something to help transport the waste. Actually, you know what? Here's a way I'm going to handle that. So instead of getting the roads directly to the residential areas, what I'll do is I'll build a storage facility for waste here, which hopefully the workers will bring. Like, so that's a short distance for them to go, which will hopefully make it easier to clean up. And with any luck, that'll be a better way for me to avoid some of the I mean, I'm still gonna have to deal with pollution. You know, you can already see that that's creeping in on the residential areas, but again, gives me a good reason to invest in the fans. Oh, I gotta get the shipyard down. Almost. So yeah, all of these deaths that you're seeing are a direct result of the pollution. So I do actually need to. Your lady just told you an argument has broken out at the office over whose pay I should cut. What you need to do is you can, if you really want to double down on this, the person whose pay should be cut is the one who isn't already a subscriber to the channel. You gotta make the right incentives, you see. Subsidize some of your gifted subs through voluntary donations. Sorry, I'm totally in Industries of Titan mode now. My apologies to your staff. We're either one trade ticket or one tick of the influence meter away. There we go. All right, just in time for us to build the isotope factory. So, Wolfenstein, if you like the old factory, this one's for you. Oops. That one is where it should be. I think I'm going to run out of resources before this thing's going to be done. It's a shit. So I don't exactly have your experience to compare to, but I have, like, one thing that I have noticed is the comparison that I personally draw is my transition from, oh god, all right, I messed up. My transition from film to, well, eventually, you know, school, and then you know, knowledge work. Well, I guess I don't think film really counts for knowledge work, but yeah, the shifts in outlook there are obviously different. But that's kind of a shift that comes from, or for me at least, comes from the nature of the work. Whereas obviously the changes brought about by size are kind of a different nature. I mean, plus you're running stuff, so I have a feeling that probably some of the enjoyment comes from your kind of the tone that you set. Just enough. I mean, we don't have any for the power and all of that, but that's the layout. We're obviously going to need a lot more workers for this, though. We just hit the magical zero waste button. Oh, well, that's apparently because it's all on the floor? That doesn't make any sense at all. What I am going to do, though, is... Oh, some of the stored resources are in use. I never like attributing things to bugs that may not be, but I do have a feeling that if I'm getting a zero waste... Can't be a metric if you can. Alright, what's the deal here? Oh, waste. Oh, that might be a problem, actually. Okay, what are my workers up to? 11 active workers on construction, fair enough. I think I'm just going to cool it. We've got a lot of production happening right now, and I'm sure this is all going to be resolved. Those trucks are paying off, too. So again, I got to think about where I want to put the conversion center. This might work. The real question is whether or not we're going to have what we need in time for. All right. So the bug report was more about the global storage measure as opposed to... I mean, when it says some of the resources are in use, it may be that they're just in the process of moving them, but... Oh! There's a bunch of resources coming in, so let's try and... We only have one rule for the guys, is that they are not allowed to take things seriously. If needed, that's your job. That is a wonderful way of running things. I don't know, it might just be like my type of humor, but I don't know, I have a very weird sense of humor. Like I definitely like being quite silly. And I've always been a little bothered in environments where it feels like people take themselves too seriously. So it's, I don't know, it's a trait I value. I think it's a trait I value because I didn't realize how rare it was until I, kind of looked. I actually, I don't like giving, your boss and manager make sure that you're reminded that you can make on-the-spot calls if needed, so long as it isn't a big call, like a huge discount or such. Yeah, that is a fantastic way of handling it, Mad King Bruno. Actually, when I was working at a bank, wait, I've got split grids? Oh, right, because I turned this thing off. I sort of developed what I guess would be fintech now, like as an idea. And like it was essentially, I was just kind of looking at the number of like middle managers running around that seemed to have a very tenuous connection to the production of anything of value. And like one of the big ones for me was like, pay very well for your risk analysis department. So, you need to have, state-of-the-art analysts for making sure that you can judge the creditworthiness of loans and such. But essentially, it would more or less be directly to your sales team, like your financial advisors or whatever. And essentially it was, give them the information that they need as to what the appropriate rate is, and let them work within that framework, right? Like you don't need to do the whole song and dance in terms of like go up through a few layers of management or whatever to be able to make decisions. Like, this is the amount we're gonna, we're willing to lend to this person at this price. You can have your say. I mean, obviously there's a little bit more to it, but there's no point in going over that idea. And again, like most of the time now, like you see a lot of these robo advisors and such are essentially just doing that, right? They're taking out the cost of having like somebody sit down who maybe knows the product that they're selling you to tell you that, the one with a high management expense ratio is somehow a better investment than something lower cost to you. And like one of the things for me was just, it was a function of what you're describing, which was the ability to sort of feel like you have some ownership over your job and the ability to actually like do things to work within the client's interests. If like, so if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm finding these interest rates unmanageable, like, is there something you can do about it? Knowing that you have a direct line to the model, you may not have the model itself, but like knowing you have a direct line to what can actually be done within the confines of the bank would probably be really helpful. Obviously, in Canada, at least, there's no such thing as adjusting an interest rate on a credit card. The best I could do would usually just be recommending a different product to them. But the nice thing for that was, for me, it would register as a sale, because usually it'd be a non-fee to a fee. So spend $20 to pay half the interest. For most people, they're going to be getting that money, getting that money back on their first bill. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I understand why some management types would really like a very strict like manual for things to do, because it kind of, you get to treat your workers as robots. But I'm not entirely sure that's quite the way you're going to see, see the best out of your people. Let's just go for the biggest. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make these numbers work, but the Cathartes HG-56, originally envisioned to be a mining tunneling ship, the Vulture can cut through most buildings like thermite through flesh. Well, now I have to buy it. There's another thing I was going to mention, but I lost it. Let's get that conversion center down at least. We're gonna definitely have to deal with the rebels without the big guns ready, but that's fine because we'll do a counterattack right after.
Extraction complete.
Oh right. Gonna make this for waste. Not that that seems to be helping. Wonder what they're all up to. Oh, probably building the ship. So I guess the question is, when do I build the next command center to get the mineral node? Okay, so one thing I'm going to do... I know I burned myself the last time I did this, but I'm actually going to shut down the tier 3. And that's so I can start getting some tier 2s back in the queue. Actually, come to think of it, we're good for isotopes for now. So part of this is just so that I can get my workforce kind of focused on other things. Okay, so I still need to put the storage modules in. I'm kind of tempted to actually just shut down... oh, it's really tempting, actually. Yeah, I think I will. Oh. Not quite ready for that. Okay, I'm going to turn it... I'm gonna turn it all back on so that it can process what it has in its queue. But after that, Mind you, I'm gonna have to wait for all of the tier 2 stuff to like actually get moved. Okay, that's combined. Okay, cool. We'll get to build a ship before too long. Sorry, we have a happy hour at work, but we can start a few minutes earlier, keep it running for a few minutes later at our discretion. Yeah, patrons love it. I know plenty of places that would say, this time, no argument, plus we can explain with valid reason we did something, they'll let it go. And 2 fixed days a week, you told the guys to be at the office around office hours, but most of our work can be done from home, so it's just for the social part. That's actually a neat way of doing it. Yeah, I suspect my own workplace is eventually going to try and go to a hybrid model, but I have no idea if it's actually going to turn out. Because the thing is that I know they're looking to minimize the cost of the buildings, right? So however much they want to try and have people in the offices, the fact of the matter is that the plans that they have actually do not allow for enough space for everyone to actually be at work. And I understand you can do like a rotating system in that, but that's just going to be a recipe for chaos if they give it enough time. Anyways, I am 45 minutes past, and I think I've also, not only have I kind of run out of steam, but we're on the verge of a rebel attack. So I'm actually going to leave myself a nice big problem to deal with. Little message for myself. Thank you so much. And again, guys, I do need to stress, I don't want to focus too much on the on the start. So victory conditions, it did look like there was a quick image there. Let's just take a sec. Okay, so economic expertise, high rollers own 6,000 credits. Local leader have 240 citizens. So that's definitely not... A corporation needs at least 3 points in a category to overcome their rivals. Okay. So, a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I had... it wasn't just work stuff. There was a personal thing that kind of came up that didn't make me feel like God's gift to streaming. It's kind of funny I talked about the work ethic thing. There was a while when I was streaming, a little bit like earlier on, when I would definitely feel... oh, I could probably miss one day, right? It's not going to be a big deal if I just miss one day. And I never gave in to the impulse. But I'd feel it, and I'd know that it was something that I needed to resist. And it has been a while since I've ever felt that way about it. But with that in mind, if I'm, if I'm still, if I'm upset about a fight, or if I'm, if I've had a bad day at work, I'm still going to feel less than overjoyed to be taking a few hours on streaming. And one of the things that has always made me very happy to go streaming is that normally on days like that, there's been something to make me say, I'm really glad I went live tonight. And, it's not even a question of one thing happening. But there is a ton of stuff that happened tonight to make it really special. I obviously have to reference the hype train that was completely unnecessary, but really, really welcome. And I do thank you all for that. But even just, some of the names, Index Known, Wolfenstein, Miss Ariella, getting a chance to see Jim the Eternal again. Having some old names come back, Mad King Brutos, just being able to catch up with you. I'm delighted to know that I'm gonna hopefully be able to put on a birthday show for you. And obviously, if your name's not mentioned on that, please don't take that as not being or taking for granted. But I think if I limited myself to just saying all of the names that made me feel good tonight, I'd add another hour to the stream. So I'm very lucky in the sense that a lot of you do tend to kind of give me a little pick me up when I'm not necessarily feeling. Hey, Ascanius. I'm glad you got I'm glad you got one of the subs gifted there. I hope you're doing well. I feel really bad. Was it Sean B? Trying to remember exactly what your original name was. For some, I thought it was the Sean Bean one, but I can't remember the name anymore. I don't know. I'm falling to pieces. Sean Bean, that's it. Thank you. But yeah, no, I did just want to take a second here and say, I'm very lucky in the sense that, first of all, I have anybody watching me. But second of all, I'm very grateful that when you do watch, that I'm given a very good reason to continue streaming. So thank you for that. With that in mind, let's take a quick minute and see who is online. I apparently have a bunch of Discord messages that I need to deal with too. So sorry you don't get to hear the lovely music of Danny Baranowski, but I have to. Oh man, there's a lot of good people streaming right now. So here's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can. Oh, there's a lot of you here. Okay, first thing I want to do is see if there's anybody streaming Industries of Titan. There is not. How about Phantom Brigade? No. Okay, so here's the thing. I've got a lot of people online right now who I think are excellent broadcasters, and I would really like, I'd really like to host. And there's one person who's doing Extra Life in particular that I'd like to host tonight. So we've got IntelliGame, who's currently doing Unpacking. We got Valiant Cheese, who's currently doing some game development on his channel. Got Night Valian, who is currently playing. Sorry, I can't remember who he's playing. Oh yeah, Metro 2033. And Uncle Cranky seems to be doing Torchlight now. But the person we're going to raid tonight is Brian on the Rocks, and that's because he has been doing some really good Sea of Thieves streams for Extra Life. Now, I realize that I'm hosting an Extra Life streamer at a time when all of you have been incredibly generous with your donations, so please do not take that as some sort of like an implicit, I expect you to give more. But what I do want to do, Brian is a developer at Respawn, and I happen to know that he put his entire bonus from Apex Legends, which he was working on at the time, towards the Palestine Children's Fund. At the time that there was the rockets and the retaliation. He is somebody who really gives everything into his charity streams, and at the very least on a night when I'm having maybe a higher than average viewer number, I'd really like to just try and boost him up. Twitch does rank things based on the concurrent viewers. So first of all, Brian is a really high energy and a really fun streamer. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun watching him. He does answer developer questions as well, as long as you're not asking him about like specific things in on his currently unannounced project and Apex Legends. But if you want to ask him about game development, he also teaches game development as well as doing it. So he's a really friendly guy, really high energy, lots of fun to watch. He's also doing a really good cause right now, and I would love it if you can stick around and show some support, just in terms of boosting his numbers and making sure that more people see what it is. But without further ado, I will see some of you for Friday for for Boyfriend Dungeon. The rest of you, I guess I'll see Monday. Until then.